the Dent Slayer, Matt Boyette. Thank you so much for being here.
She's smooth, boy. She's smooth.
It was 2016, and I had just left Montana. We stayed working in Montana until we spent Halloween there.
Okay.
And then
What town?
This was in Great Falls.
Was there good trick-or-treating there?
You know, it was because it was cold, because you could wear your costumes and not have to take it off halfway.
Tell people. So down here in Florida, in Halloween, you're usually a sweaty. It's not. It's not.
You gotta
fun.
choose the right costume, or if you choose the wrong costume, it comes off, and you're carrying your kid's costume for the rest of the night.
If we get a cool Halloween where you can wear a hoodie or something, dude, that's awesome.
So this was October 2016.
Okay.
We spent Halloween there. Kids trick-or-treated. We made some good friends and families up there that we got to go with. And then we started making our way back. And Kelly's family's in Chicago, so we were trying to decide whether or not we spend Thanksgiving there or try to make it back home here in Florida and spend it with my family. But either way, we were making our migration back down to Florida. So when I was in Great Falls, is when I lifted my van. I bought a 15-passenger van, and it was a bone stock van from like Enterprise shuttle van thing, and I lifted it there. I put the 6-inch suspension lift.
Did you
on
do
it.
it yourself?
I did it myself. Me and one of the body techs. I paid him to stay after and help me weld it because he knows how to run his welder, and I can weld, but I wanted him to do it, and I need an extra set of hands. I need his tools, right?
You wanted it to stay welded.
So I paid this guy to do it, and me and him stayed after. We did the rear end one evening and got it rolling again, and then did the front end the next evening and got it all lifted and wheels and tires and all that stuff. Got it all lifted and everything's good and dialed and as it should be. But we're driving back to Florida. And we had already left Chicago, and we're heading south down. I don't remember if it was straight down Illinois or down through Indiana. I think it was through Illinois. And so we had left Chicago at let's just say 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning to try to get an early start. So my wife loves driving on trips. So you guys can say whatever.
She'd rather drive.
Some guys think the men should always drive and the women, I don't know about that, but she likes driving and I'll let her. And, but even regardless, like when we would drive across country, we would do like 4-hour shifts. Her drive 4 hours, I drive 4 hours, and kind of we could make a really good time, getting across the country, doing it that way. But she was driving first thing in the morning, and I'm still kind of lazy, laying around like in the side, trying to maybe catch a little bit more sleep or whatever. But we had on the way back from Montana, we stopped at Chicago, and we did some the stores where you buy the what are they called? They're here. They're
frozen yogurt.
No. Where you buy old reclaimed wood and like salvage, like eco relics here.
Yes.
What do you call those stores?
I don't know.
Well, you go in and buy old.
It's like an antique store for construction materials.
Yeah. So whatever you want to buy, like as far as either old lights, industrial.
Yeah.
Repurposed, resalvaged stores.
Salvage. Construction salvage.
Okay.
Something like that.
So we'd bought a bunch of stuff from this one salvage store in Chicago. And so my van was loaded down. I got a 12-foot roof rack on top. I had the roof rack full. I had the inside full of different carts and furniture. Anyhow, it was loaded down with stuff on our way back to Florida. And so we're driving down this road in Illinois, and she starts feeling the van kind of fishtail a little bit. And she's like, Matt, something doesn't feel right. Like the van feels off. And I'm thinking, well, it's the road or it's a crosswind because it was really open and you can get some cross, and we had a lot of weight in it. So it's like, it's just what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. What do you want me to do? Like,
And it's lifted.
Yeah. Just keep driving it. Like, I don't know. She's like, Matt, I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Something feels off. And I'm like, okay, what are the options? Stop and look at it. Like, I don't know how to solve this. Like, we can stop and look, but it's going to, like, how am I going to tell if something's wrong with it?
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, I don't know, babe. Just keep driving. It's fine. It's just a crosswind, or you're catching like a line in the road that's like pulling you or whatever.
Right.
And so she's like, all right, but it doesn't feel right. And probably, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, the left rear wheel falls off. Like, so all the all the lug studs broke off.
What?
The lug, there's 8 lug studs on that van. They all busted off, sheared off. Not from what we did. It wasn't part of the lift we did. It was, and I'll explain in a minute. All the lug studs break off, and the back of the van just drops down on the brake rotor, and it's just that we see the wheel roll past us down in front, and she is able to
Going what, 80?
Yeah, whatever interstate, 70 to 80, yeah. And so it drops down on the back left rear rotor, and it's just sparking, and I'm freaking, what happened? And she's pulling over to get off and slowing down, which is a miracle in itself. And I'm actually thankful that we had all that weight in it, because I think that's what dropped the van to the back. And it's had all that weight right in the back, so there was no risk of, or minimized the risk of flipping as opposed to going forwards or whatever. So it just kind of boom right on the tail end of it. She able to walk it off the freeway, and I get out and look at it, and the rotor is gone, the caliper's gone, it's on the axle housing, like it just grinded everything just flat. Thankfully, it didn't bust out the wheel arch or none of the body panel. All that was fine. It was just the actual running gear that was busted. So had to get a tow truck, and I got
all the kids are with you.
All the kids are with me.
So 6 souls.
So we had to get an Uber on top of the tow truck.
Uber XL.
To meet us there to get the family. And then I had to find a Ford dealership. I take it to the Ford dealership. And
was it like business hours or what?
Yeah, it was normal business hours, I think. And we got a hotel and was able to get the van there. And then they had to order everything new, and they showed me the old thing that broke, and somebody had put the wrong lug studs in. Those are a press in, and they're supposed to be exact fit. So they just press in and then they're there. And these were slightly smaller, and so they put them in and they just kind of tack welded them so they didn't come out. So it all...
Like how long ago?
Well, when I bought the van.
Because you just recently bought it.
Yeah, it was a used van.
Yeah.
But so I don't know when they had done a repair.
Oh my goodness.
But either way, they had put the wrong lug studs in it.
No way.
And so as soon as they come loose, they get any kind of tolerance, they'll just shear off. And so, yeah, it was not from the lift that we did. It was everything we did was fine, but busted all the studs off. So...
And this was an old Enterprise van?
It was an Enterprise rental-car van. Yeah.
This is why we all have to do the ADOS scans now?
I think that was a van that they had ran like oil fields or whatever back and forth, just dudes, because like if you pull any piece of interior off, it's just dust. Like the inside's clean, but if you pull the door panel off,
wow,
it's just like khaki colored dust, like clay dust. And so they were probably running crews back and forth in this thing down these dirt roads. But yeah, so going to the wife's intuition, one of the other podcasts where we had Jonathan Balderrama on, we were talking about my wife's intuition. Mm-hmm. And this was another one that I second guessed her. I questioned, it's okay, babe, just keep going, and then lo and behold.
Should have stopped.
Well, okay, so hindsight, what would I have done if I'd stopped? That's not a visual thing you're going to see. Like you can't.
You wouldn't have looked at it and
Yeah, but there's nothing you can see. I mean, I
Yeah.
put the wheel on essentially when I put the lift, so there's no visual cues that are going to indicate that this will break. It just broke.
wow.
So, thankfully, I mean, I'm not trying to second guess the situation or say what could have would have happened, but thankfully, it fell down on the rear of it. We didn't flip. We didn't get an accident. She was able to walk it off the road going 80 with 3 wheels. And the wheel didn't go off and hit another car. Nothing like that happened. So all it was a little bit of a financial burden, thank God. But everybody made
In a couple days.
Couple days, and made it home safe.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's scary.
it was very scary. Yeah,
So the wheel, did you retrieve the wheel or did it hit
but-
anything?
it just ran into like the fence.
Oof.
But it didn't hit another car. And thankfully, because they were special order wheels and tires, right? They're specific to my lift. So thankfully, I run a 5th spare. So I just threw the spare on, a full-size spare, threw the full size on, and put the old dirty one on the hanger in the back. But
Wow.
yeah, avoided disaster, which could have been pretty bad.
Wow. So you mentioned running crews in oil fields. So have you seen the show Landman? I've recently discovered this.
I have.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Okay. I'm about 2 episodes in. Yeah. So I'm digging it. I like seeing like behind the scenes and like this trade. It's not what we do isn't as dangerous, but I feel like there are some similarities between working these oil rigs and PDR. They kind of. So explain kind of what this show is if people haven't seen it.
I guess it's about
It's a Taylor Sheridan. That's his name.
Taylor Sheridan. And I like those shows. I've watched a bunch of those. I do feel like he's reaching a little bit too far on some of the episodes. It's like he's trying to make drama where drama didn't need to be.
Yes.
Which is obviously. And now he's got another Yellowstone spinoff coming off. It's called Why Marshals. It's just about the Marshals of Yellowstone. So it's like, okay, buddy,
He's doing too much.
You're wringing it out.
Yeah. Somebody's wringing something out.
But they're still good. I mean,
Yeah.
We watched all the Landman. Landman was pretty good. Some of it you're like, okay, come on. You're just inserting drama. But it was a good show. But he's basically a oil field foreman, or he runs all the techs, works for a big company, but he's the guy direct on the ground dealing with all the drama every day. And so it's just about all the drama that unfolds, whether or not they blow up or there's Mexican cartels.
Yeah. Drama built on the oil business of getting oil out of the ground in
Fights
Texas.
between the technicians and people pulling guns on each other. And it's,
in Midland and Odessa, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was, I'm into it right now, but just seeing behind the scenes of that business and that trade and, what goes into it has been really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things I would say that mirror Hale. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I don't want to draw too many parallels, but I mean, there's a lot of guys that life on the road, they're away from their families, or these guys living in compounds, so we don't really do that. I mean, we might do it in hotels or
Campgrounds,
campers, but you're not like so. Yeah, it's a good show. I like it. We finished all of it, so that season. So
don't spoil it for me.
I won't. It's good. I like it. It was one me and my wife made a habit of watching.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the first episodes, something dangerous happens, and what's the main character's name? Bob.
Well, Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, that's his real name.
Yes. So his character, he's like, something's dangerous, and someone's like, "How can you expect him to do that?" And he's like, "Well, for $180,000 a year, that's why he does it." And they're like, "That's not enough to risk your life." And he's like, "For a felon, it is. It's like he won the lottery."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Man, these guys are like dink guys, like hell guys."
Yeah.
So you can do really well in the dent business, no matter what your background is. Nobody's checking that kind of stuff.
We're not risking our lives
No.
per se. Maybe some of us are, depending on where you're working. But
You are risking your marriage, you're risking your family, like being away. There's some risk involved.
all that we do work a lot in Midland and Odessa, Texas.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Hale?
Those are common areas.
Have you ever been in there?
I've never worked there.
So when a lawyer flies in, gets off the private jet, and they give her like a nice Mercedes car, and she's like, "Can you give me something a little more unassuming?" And they said, "Well, this. You're not going to stand out in Midland, but don't drive this into Odessa." So I guess, do you know anything about that divide there?
No, I don't. I can't speak on that. I've never worked there. I just know there's a lot of. They had a couple really severe storms where guys couldn't get out of there. There was just continual work back in. I want to say like 16, 17. You can correct me on that. I don't remember, but they've had a lot of back-to-backs. It's a very heavy hail prone area, but yeah, I don't know of the demographic of the
but a lot of oil money in that area.
I would assume
there's a lot of
I would assume
good cars to fix.
Yeah,
decent cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we talked about this subject not too long ago. I can't remember how this came up, but did you bring this up?
Yeah.
Misogi?
Yeah.
All right. What is this?
We were at we were in Italy.
Okay.
And we just had breakfast with Keith and Liam. Keith Cosentino and Liam, his son. We went to the DB Expo out there, trade show, and we hung out with Keith and his son a lot, and really came to be fond of both those guys. I mean, specifically Keith. Keith's big in our industry, and that was really good opportunity for us to spend some more time with that guy. I mean, obviously, we had him on the podcast, and that was good. But this was just hanging out, going to dinner, and that guy's, man, just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I know you guys listen. He's had his podcast for a while, and maybe you guys listen to it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you know him. Maybe you don't. But I would encourage you, whatever your relationship with him is, try to get close to that guy and try to get some of the knowledge that he's got. I mean, he's a very smart dude, not just about dents. I mean, of course that, but like he's just one of those guys that's interesting, and he's interesting to talk to. Just when it's a podcast or sitting at dinner, it's not. His
perspective on things is unique.
It is,
yeah,
and it's not always eye to eye, which I like. I mean, he comes from the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, and we're different perceptions of things, and he has a good contrast on some things, which I really value. And so he's just he's only impressed me. Let's just say that, and I say that sincerely. I don't have to say that, but he's only impressed me the time I've spent with him. And so we were talking at breakfast about. I don't want to talk too much about his details, but there was this bedside that he said he did, and he probably shouldn't have done it, but he wanted to do it anyhow, just to push
truck bedside repair, big dent
on a Ram or dually. I don't remember. But he was just talking about he took this job on, and he kind of shouldn't have, but he wanted to kind of go on this journey of whether I could fix it or not. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's called a misogi." And he's like, "Oh, what? What do we?" And so this is a term, I don't know, I saw on Instagram a year ago or whatever, but I'll read you the definition of what a misogi is. It's a traditional Shinto ritual of purification involving the use of water, often very cold, such as standing under a waterfall or immersing oneself in a river or the sea. It is both a physical and spiritual cleansing practice, often used to clear the mind and spirit. It is associated with discipline, resilience, and inner strength. Hence, your impression that is the art of doing something hard. So I'm not relating this to standing under a waterfall or, taking a cold plunge, but it's the art of doing something hard or something you don't want to do, right? And so the thought is that you are investing in yourself or your personal growth in doing something once a year that is outside of your comfort zone, right? And you could, if that's taking a cold plunge, then that's what it is. Or if that's doing a really hard dent that you don't think you can do, but it's not necessarily, it's for the idea of personal growth, right? And pushing yourself beyond the boundaries that you normally operate in. And so that's how I associate it with doing a hard dent. I mean, that's a very easy interpretation of it into our industry is do something once a year that's outside of your comfort zone. I've tried to incorporate that here with Andy and Salo, like my technicians, like, okay, man, like this one's hard. Like this isn't your normal moneymaker dent you're just going to be able to roll through. You're going to have to, put on your what is it called? Your helmet, and
your thinking cap.
Your thinking cap, and really
kindergarten thinking cap.
Really like try to make this happen. Like don't just give up, and you need to push yourself beyond your normal capabilities, and you're going to find out a lot about yourself, right? And so that's the whole goal is really just kind of personal growth and personal development and pushing yourself beyond your normal boundaries. So I would encourage you guys who are listening, if you're doing that, maybe you're a newer tech and you haven't done that one dent that is haunting you, you're scared of or whatever. Or maybe you're a hail tech and you're only taking on the lighter dents because that one vehicle or that one manufacturer, is like you're so scared to do it because, obviously you need to make sure that when it comes to dents, you're not just butchering something for the sake of personal growth. I mean, you need to make sure it's essentially doable by someone.
You got to balance professionalism.
Of course.
Yeah.
So it has to be like, you don't just take someone's car and butcher it and say, oh, sorry, it was first personal growth. I didn't hit the mark. Like that's not professional, but take on something that's essentially reasonable, but outside of your realm of repairability.
Maybe reasonably outside of your comfort zone.
Yes. And
dude, I feel like I'm living in there lately.
And be determined to do it.
Sure.
Like we have all kinds of reasons of why we might bail on a dent. We can justify all the things we want to ourselves about, I'm not getting the money to do it. It's not worth my time. I hear all that bull crap. And then those are like whatever, but do it and see it through for the sole value of personal development. Forget about the money of it.
Yeah.
Forget about, the time or whatever. Let's do something hard and see it through and push yourself and evaluate yourself at the end of it. Right. And do personal reflection of okay, what did I learn through this Misogi journey? And it'll tell you a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll tell you a lot about your tool set. Maybe it'll tell you a lot about your techniques or your training. And so yeah, that's the Misogi.
So I had 3 of those this week that I can remember.
You should probably do one a year.
So one of them was because sometimes you see a photo of a dent, couple photos, and listen, I think a lot of customers will purposely give you photos that they're like, I don't know if this dude can fix it, but I want him to come out here, so I'm not going to give him the photos that make it look bad. I'm going to make this thing look as easy for this guy as possible. And I got out there, and it was one of those Sierra tailgates, that folds 3 ways. And the picture looked like the edge was just folded in, and it looks like I just needed to tap it out, So my price was $500 to fix this edge. And I get there, and it's not folded back where you would tap it out. It's folded in and is just crimped the face of the tailgate in and dented it. And I'm like, I'm like, man, I don't think this can be fixed. I don't think I'm going to be able to fix this. But I was in a good mood, and I was like, you know what? I'm here. Give me 30 minutes and let me get into this and let me see what happens. And then you called me while I was working on this, and I think I stayed till like 8 o'clock at night working on this thing because it just kept okay, it's moving, okay. Like as long as I kept having something I could do, I just kind of kept going. And at the end of it, it didn't look great, but the guy was pumped. And he kind of told me, he's like, yeah, I didn't think you would want to do this, but like I just wanted you to try.
Yeah.
But it was one of those where I was sore the next day because of that thing.
But I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself,
yeah.
I mean, it'll
yes.
It'll highlight a lot of things potentially.
Here's one that I learned. Okay, another one was that I told you about this too. Toyota SUV, shark antenna on the back, crunched, when they're backing out, crunched forwards, stretched up the thing. And I was like, it didn't look that bad. And I was like, I think I can fix this. The guy was just mainly concerned about making it flat so that the antenna sat right. Mm. And man, it worked me. Like I was telling you, I didn't want to take the hatch off. I'll get to what I learned at the end, but it was flopping up and down. And like, I didn't see a path to make it flat. It was either going to be high or low. And high, the antenna would not sit.
Yeah.
Low, it would sit. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to make it low so I can get a good seal on the gasket. And it, you couldn't really tell that much. And the guy ended up being pumped. He was happy and everything. But after that, I was like, I'm driving away and I'm like, the risk of it leaking was freaking me out. Like it was sealed, but I'm like, man, I feel like I just took on a liability that if this thing ever leaks, that's going to be on me. And I was like, I don't want to do these anymore. Like
those dents. So most dents that we encounter, like 99% of dents we encounter, are cosmetic in nature, meaning it's all form. There's no function.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
On those dents, there's a function. There's a function, right? So like when I explain to someone, like I have 2 jobs. Normally my job is I got to make it look good.
Yep.
That's really it. On this job, with the antenna jobs, you have 2 jobs, which is I have to make it look good.
Yep.
And I also have to make it watertight.
Yep.
So you have two things you're chasing.
Yeah.
There, right? Because I guess you could just make it watertight and not make it look good and make someone happy. Meaning, I guess you could do that.
Certain people,
but you can't just make it look good and not watertight.
Right, like, that's not going to fly.
It might fly for a week until it rains, and then their headliner's full of water, and then it's in the wiring, and then you've got like whatever you're paying for now because they paid you to fix something you didn't fix potentially. So, those are unique. I almost always, depending on the severity, have them order a new antenna because they will bend. Even though you might not be able to see it, they can bend enough to where it makes it hard to seat. Mm-hmm. And again, if I'm kind of assuming that responsibility, just get a new antenna, man. Mm-hmm. Like unless we can look at it and it's not really, whatever. But most of the time, just get the new antenna, have it at the time, or let me get it.
Yep.
And I'll have it at the time. So, because I got to fit it and make sure it's sealed when we're during the job. Mm-hmm. I got one right now we're doing that I need to have the antenna because I need to make sure it seats correctly and is watertight as well as that cosmetic thing. And usually they stretch. Usually they're kind of severe it's a very traumatic thing. It's not like, a door ding, which is not necessarily a traumatic event. Those, it's usually gnarly. It's a house. It's 2 immovable objects, so to speak, hitting each other, and that's what gives, right? You got this huge 6,000-pound vehicle driving against an immovable object, and the antenna is what gets it. And so it can really distort that, even though it could be a minor dent. They're usually pretty deep and ravaged, I've done them where it's literally pulled the nut out of the hole and just left this gunshot wound looking thing where there's just shrapnel metal sticking out, and you've got to fix all that. So they're hard dents. And I almost always pull the hatch off.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I'm not going to cut any corners. If you want me to do my job, don't tie my hands. Like I'm pulling the hatch off.
Yeah.
And give me all the tools I need to do my job and to do it right. Pull the hatch off where you can work it from the best position, and make sure it's watertight. So you didn't pull the hatch off?
No.
Yeah.
No. So I was, I was happy with how I could access it. The one thing I couldn't do without the hatch off and everything was shrink box it.
Yeah.
I was talking to Mike Giroux up in New England, and he had just done one, and he had shrink boxed that thing. Have you ever used that? Yeah. So, man, because of basically there's no metal in the middle of the dent, right? So like, I was like, I'm not going to try this without having seen somebody do this. So yeah, it kicked my butt, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do this again like this. It would have to be, I'm either sending these to match shop or having some kind of body shop situation to where I have some kind of backup plan, and I have, backup in case because he basically got it quoted by a body shop, and they quoted replacing the roof.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we might be able to repair it, but maybe not. So here's we're going to quote you for repairing the entire roof. Replacing. Did I say repair or replace?
Yeah.
Replacing the whole roof. So yeah, that, I was stretched on that one. The dent was stretched
your
too.
Abilities for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you buy a shrink box yet?
Yes.
Do you have it?
Yeah. The Black Plague one.
Keith's.
Yep. Yeah. But so what are we doing today, Matt? We're just we don't have a guest. It's just me and you.
Yeah, no guest today.
We're episode 11.
This is episode 11. So we hit our April was our 10th episode.
Yep.
Doing about one a month is our stride we're trying to keep. And so yeah, we hit 10, and then we decided, okay, let's take a minute to kind of talk about where we're at and what we're doing, and
catch up with both of us. Just talk about things that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's this.
So we have like a hodgepodge of subjects we want to discuss today. A couple questions we want to answer that people have asked. Some things that we're dealing with. Just some different subjects that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So one big milestone. We didn't start out with this in mind necessarily, but we felt like after 10 episodes, we were trying to look down the road. We even doing it once a month, we're trying to do this in a sustainable manner. And I feel like we try to do that in general with what we're doing and how we do it with Dent Slayer stuff, is to do it in a way that we can, sustain into the future. We're not going to burn out.
That's why we pasted it once a month too.
Yes. But we feel like we are doing like a service to the community, having this type of situation where we can interview people and document people's stories in the industry. So we felt like we wanted to allow the opportunity for other people to kind of bear that burden with us. And so we haven't really announced it or made a big deal out of it, but we opened it up to sponsors. Did we talk about it last time?
I think we grazed on it a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of I feel like there's some drama behind people getting sponsored, tool companies, asking people to do reviews and people not trusting people because there's some money back there. But we got our first sponsor. So you guys can't trust anything we say ever again.
Yeah. So just going into that, like we are kind of selective of who we are allowing to sponsor. And we're not just going to sponsor a brand or a product that we don't believe in or agree with or align with. We're trying to keep Dent Slayer brand front and center and what we're about and what we're into and interested in and what we want to talk about. I'm not going to be fake. I'm going to be as real as I can. And so I'm not going to push products or companies that I'm not into.
Right.
So yeah, we do. I mean, we want you guys to, if you want us to sponsor something, then please reach out. I mean, we'd love to evaluate that. But just first and foremost, I mean, we're not doing this for the money, or we're doing it because we want to do it, and we're only going to get behind those guys that we're, into. So, and
even just to cover the cost of this would take a lot of sponsors, and we're not even anywhere near that. So we're still willing to put our money where our mouth is to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is even going into this episode. I mean, this is all the financial burden of us putting this together and facilitating this. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap by any means. If you look at that time, the time cost and then just the financial cost. I mean, there's a lot there, and so. But again, we're into it. We're not going anywhere right now, and we're happy to do it. But we have made it available for sponsors to do it. So we got our first sponsor. You want to talk about who that is?
Yep. So it's Mobile Tech RX.
Mobile Tech RX.
So I mean, since I started my business, that's who I've used. You use Mobile Tech RX since you started your business?
I have. Now, just pause a second, and just to say, we did not approach Mobile Tech RX, and Mobile Tech RX did not know, like we decided to open it up to sponsorship, and like the very same week, and we hadn't really told anybody. The very same week, they approached us, so it was almost like, that's cool.
Yes, and I'm not mistaken, but I think maybe Kevin Bird nudged them or said, "Hey, check this out."
Okay, well,
maybe.
Either way, it felt organic from our end. Like we hadn't made it really out there in a podcast yet, and so it just all came into place. And so we talked with Eric, and then so even within our sponsorship guys. So if you guys are into that, just to kind of camp here for a second, we have different packages of sponsorship and what you get for those, and so. Maybe James can put that in here somewhere or whatever. So if you're a smaller company that you want to sponsor, we have different pay tiers as far as what you get packages. And so.
Yeah. So we want to get like at least a 6-month commitment. So for as low as $300, you can get like a 30-second spot for 6 episodes. Or you can go all the way up to a presenting sponsor, which that's what Mobile Tech RX is, and we will allow for 2 of those only at a time, and that's $990. So they're partnering with us. They believe in what we're doing, and we do feel like they are. They're, in my opinion, they're the leader in software services for our industry.
Yeah. So your question, so when I decided to start my business, they were the first one I jumped to.
Yeah.
And I've used them exclusively since I started my business, which was officially at the end of 19, beginning of 20. Mm-hmm. And we've ran it off there every day since then. And so we're doing retail. We have the 2 locations. We are doing wholesale. We do a lot of dealers. We do some rental. And everything is ran off of that. And I don't want to go too much down the functionality part of this. And I mean, like, we'll have time to do that. And I think there's a lot of new things coming that might kind of mute some of the stuff. From what I talked to Eric, they're releasing a lot of new cool things that are even going to make it even cooler. And so I'm excited about that. So that's going to change here a lot. But I use it every day from a business. The only thing I don't do at the moment is take payments on it. I take payments through Square, which I'm not excited about. I would much rather take payments through Mobile Tech. I
take payments through Mobile Tech. That's my main way.
Well, so for me, having a brick and mortar shop, I didn't like their hardware for processing credit cards, Mobile Techs. I heard it was glitchy. Maybe you guys have a different experience. I'd love to know if you do. But the experience I had was their stuff was glitchy.
Stripe.
Yeah. Like sometimes it doesn't link up. You have problems. And so I just kept with Square. But I would love to have everything going off of Mobile Tech. So one of the coolest features with Square, and I think this is potentially coming. We'll see. I don't know. With Square, I've got it where I can run everything right off my phone as far as payments goes. Like I could put in their price, they can tap their card to my phone, and I don't even use the readers anymore.
Yeah.
It's just tap to your phone.
Yep.
And so it's just easy. And I'm hoping that this is coming with Mobile Tech, that same type of feature. And if it is, I'll just ditch Square completely. Although I've got like a bunch of reviews on Square. I don't ever solicit those. They're just kind of built into the software. But I've got a ton of views. So I'd love to be able to migrate those off of Square.
Those reviews.
And keep those somehow. So I'd hate to see that just fall away. But I'm not married to Square is what I'm saying. I would love to get off of it.
But you love that tap the card to the phone thing. That's what you're after.
It's just too easy.
See, I don't want that. I've told you about this. So I don't even... Usually, when I'm dealing with a retail customer, I finish the dent, shake their hand, tell them, "Hey, listen, I'm going to send you a link in a few minutes. You'll get it, and then you can just go on there and enter your credit card information on there and pay." And so, I don't take their credit card. I don't want them to give me their credit card, and that's all I use is the integrated payment.
I live just south of this shop is just south of a big like retirement community. A bunch of graders in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And like some of these guys don't even have emails.
You're never going to get paid.
Literally, I told a guy the other day, "Hey, I don't have an email." Like,
yeah.
I don't believe you. How do you not have an email? Anyhow.
You should believe him.
Like,
sometimes that's not an option. Sure.
If you're dealing with those boomer
usually
type
those people will write you a check.
I do take checks.
So do I.
I tell people, they're like, what kind of forms of payment you take? I said, I take Bitcoin, checks, gold bars, silver bars.
Can you take Bitcoin?
Ammo, whatever you want.
Square takes Bitcoin?
I don't know.
You're just talking.
I'm just speaking hypothetical. But I'll take whatever. I mean, I'll take your money. I'm trying to keep America great again, but not just say everything's digital.
Right.
If you want to give me cash, I'll do it.
I definitely prefer cash.
I've traded.
Just so we're clear.
Dude, I traded for 7 surfboards. I traded a Dent Repair for 7 surfboards.
You still have those 7 surfboards?
Yeah. The guy's a surfboard rep.
If anybody needs a surfboard, Matt's got you.
The guy was a surfboard rep, and he had a dent. And
how long ago was this?
No, this was a year ago.
Okay.
I'm going to give them away to like a toy drive or do like a giveaway or something. You know, they're cool. They're little foam boards. They're not anything crazy, but I was like, he's like, "You want to trade?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'll trade you, man. Let's do that."
Trading's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
I'm not like, it's my business. I can do what I want.
I can do what I want.
Like, if you want to give me Bitcoin, you want to trade for bullets, dude, I'll trade for guns. Like, I'll trade for surfboards. But obviously I need money too to pay the bills because the landlord ain't going to take surfboards. So I mean, I've got to have money.
You need a better landlord.
Yeah.
Or maybe a worse one.
I got something I'm trading with him. I got an old military trailer he wants to trade.
I'm a fan of the send a link, let them pay if they're capable.
Yeah.
Because one benefit of that is they're not right in front of you. And if you're putting in their credit card information, you know, that screen that allows for a tip comes up. And that's very awkward to take that thing and put it in their face and say, do you want to leave me a tip? Which I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do that.
I don't do it either. And I have technicians who will do that, and I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a service industry,
Sure.
like a really high performing service industry. We're not just taking your food from A to B, and I'm not belittling that, but I'm like, this takes a lot of investment of time and skill.
You could put extra time in
and you can
do a better job for sure.
If anyone should be worthy of a tip, like
Yeah.
I think we should. Like
Yeah.
I'm not against a tip, but I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
But if you're the technician who wants to do that, I don't think any less of you. I think you're fully entitled to that. And
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to tip you for making a coffee, then you should. I think you're just as worthy of a tip, right? I just don't want to be that guy for myself. But
But if you get the link, you send them the link and they open it by themselves in their house, you're not there, then it takes them through that. Do you want to leave a tip? And so I would say probably the majority of people leave a tip.
Yeah.
And it's usually pretty good. So that's a good bonus of doing it that way.
yeah.
So that will pay for your price of admission to this.
The only time
podcast.
I personally get tips is if it's cash.
Yeah.
Like, because I just bypass right through that tip screen and tap it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the nerve to ask somebody face to face for a tip.
no, I don't either. I mean, again, you're entitled. I'm not belittling.
Yeah.
If you do ask for tips, I think they're valid to do, but it's just
Yeah.
I don't do it.
Yeah, it's hard.
No.
So, Mobile Tech RX isn't just another field service app. It's designed specifically for PDR, wheels, paint, and detailing pros. Every feature was built with Recon techs in mind. Boom. Sponsored by Mobile Tech RX.
So I didn't know this.
What up?
I did not know that Eric Garves, the creator of Mobile Tech, was a former technician. I didn't know. I learned that. I went to Anson Open House, and I got to meet him, and we hung out for about an hour, standing right there in the middle of the Anson talking. And he kind of told me, which guys, encourage him to come here and get on the podcast. He has a really cool story. I've asked him about coming down here, and he's like, yeah, it'd be cool. A lot of people say that, but like, let's do it. Let's make that happen. He's got a really cool story. And the time I talked with him was really intriguing. And so I'd love to get this kind of thing archived and saved forever in digital world. But he's a technician, and he where he started and just hearing his story. And what I got from him, and this, again, this isn't the paid part of the sponsorship thing. This is just me talking about him, is the dude loves his product. Like, he takes pride in this. Is Mobile Tech RX, this is his baby, what I gathered talking to him, and he loves talking about it. He loves making it better, and that's what he wants to do, is make the coolest app for what we do. And he's a technician, or he was a technician. I don't know when last time he said the wheels on his light stand were all dry rotted because he hasn't moved it around in the last couple of years. But he's a technician, and he knows what we're looking for, and he knows what we need. And so I'll support that dude. I mean, he's got a really cool product. He's got a really cool story. He's for us. And so I want to have him on the show and get the full rundown for you guys to hear too, because super interesting, intriguing guy.
Also, so I listened to, I can't remember what Corey
Masters of
Klein.
Recon.
Okay, he was on there recently, and it was really good. I found out a lot about the product that I didn't know. It was a really good episode of that podcast.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay.
On the plane.
Yeah. Very informative.
Yeah, really informative. And he kind of tells you about some of the new things that are going to be rolling out. And they've got a 12-part, the Masters of Recon has a 12-part series about mobile tech. And they've created some Facebook threads and groups or whatever. You can go on there because there are some people who have problems with mobile tech. He's trying to go through and answer what those problems are. And is it something we can fix and work towards, or is it just something that's never going to happen? And so that Masters of Recon series is going to go through a lot of those things.
Yeah.
The issues that guys are having. And he's going to talk about what they're doing to remedy that, or the new features that are coming on board. So I listened to the first one, and it was really good, really informative, things I didn't know, and go check it out. I think it's like right at 2 hours long, hour and a half or something like that. It's not crazy long, but very informative.
Yep. Okay, next subject. Nice little grenade that we can roll in here that seems to get rolled around periodically on Facebook is tech pay percentages. So I feel like there's some people who are very dogmatic about certain percentages that you know guys shouldn't do work for less. There's a lot of controversy around this subject. I feel like it's mostly with hail. I've never chased hail, but I mean every tech is dealing with this that works for somebody. But what are your thoughts, Matt?
This is a very, very landmine topic. Like,
I had to convince Matt to talk about this.
You're not going to walk. You're not going to walk through this and come out with
both legs.
Yeah, you're going to lose something. Like, so I told James, like, listen, man, like, I'm going to stay very topical about this because you'll get crucified either way. Doesn't matter what you say. You're
right.
You're public enemy number one as soon as you say this or that, or like, it's just. So I'm not going to say nothing as far as specifics. I will say, like, when anything we're doing, there you have to consider the value of what we're getting. And so one value we get is monetary compensation, right? But there's other values that, or let's just say benefits. And let's just say a big company, they offer benefits, health benefits, or 401ks, or a car, or cell phone. So there's other things that you have to consider besides just the percentage, right? I mean, that's just common sense, right? Those are called perks or just benefits, right? And so you have to consider what are those things, and do those
What's the big picture?
Do those bring value to me as a technician, aside from just the monetary compensation, right? And so you have to look at the value of what that collectively is, right? So, we hear a common thing you're going to hear even on the hail is, well, I'm getting less percentage-wise, but they're writing the tickets higher, or they're getting more work,
more volume,
which is kind of a bad argument to have. But the higher ticket price is a good one, right? So, like, if I'm riding a hill car, and I ride a $5,000 hill car from my shop, and I give you a really high percentage of that, you're getting a good percentage. But let's just say I take that same $5,000 hill car and I write a better ticket on it when I'm including the more things. I'm not leaving meat on the bone. And maybe that $5,000 hill car, through the right company who's acquiring that job, is maximizing it. Maybe it's $10,000 now. Okay. But maybe that company is paying their technicians less. So from a technician standpoint, maybe he's getting less percentage-wise, but he's making more at the end of the day.
The dollar amount's higher.
So who's the dummy? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like that's where I'm saying, like,
Every situation's different.
there's a value add that company is bringing to the table besides just a percentage. So if they're better at what they're doing as far as a job and they can write better tickets, or if they can get more work in, that might be better for you, right? Or as opposed to the guy who's paying you a better percentage, but you're standing around twiddling your thumbs, not making any money, and the cars that come in, they're horrible tickets. That might not be the best situation. You can make 100% of nothing or a lower percentage of a lot, right? So, you know, these are all things to consider. I don't think there's just a one size fits all. Like there's a lot there to unpack, and every situation is different, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many facets to it, you know, because you got retail hail, and then you got wholesale hail, and then you got retail dents, and you got wholesale dents, and there's so many nuances and factors, and you know,
Quality expectations. There's a lot that goes into it.
so just staying very, very topical, and I'm not going to get specific, but I believe in paying my technicians good. I looked at, and I spent 21 years with Dent Wizard, which is a corporate company that has a lot of other value, and they paid their technicians, let's just say, lower percentages, and you had ways to get tiers to get better percentages. But having been with that company for 21 years, when I started my company, I looked at the things I liked and the things I disliked, and I tried to fashion my business in a way that I would want to work for. And so I determined that I would pay my technicians well, because I want them to be happy when they come here and not feel like I'm robbing them. And I wanted them to stay, right? This industry is like no other. Like, it's not easy. I can't just put an ad in the paper for somebody to come fill in for the day. Like, there's no temps. You're not hiring any temps. Like, to get a good technician who will represent your brand and who will do a good, high quality paintless dent removal job,
And stick around for a while.
like that's hard.
Very hard.
That's not like as easy as, you know, open up a Smoothie King franchise and trying to find some kid who's going to make smoothies. And as soon as that guy quits, you just throw a new one in and give him half a day of training how to make a strawberry shortcake smoothie, and then, you know, he's good to go.
I feel like you see guys looking for experienced technicians for months and years even without fulfilling that position.
Well, a lot of times these technicians are on their own, whether or not they're out doing wholesale. You have to trust these guys. You're not necessarily by them every day. And so there has to be a level of trust, right? So they have to be, for me, good quality technicians, not just good technicians, but good people that I want to represent my brand and my job, and to not lie to me and not steal from me, and, you know, things like that. So I want to pay my guys well, but obviously I'm in a business and I have to make money, right? And so, you got to factor in your market. I mean, I'm in a non-hail market, right? Here's the other side to that. My technicians every day get messages from other technicians on the road to come do hail with them. We're in Florida. We don't get hail a lot. So like every day they're like, hey man, we just got on a big job in Texas or Kansas. You want to come out? And these guys have to say no, right? Because they know the money they can make out there. And they make the decision to say no and stay here. So what forms that decision in their mind, right? It's got to be the value of working here as on top of the money that they're making. And so, you know, I don't want to play that game of just playing musical chairs with technicians and trying to have a new technician here, you know, a couple times a year. I want to have guys that are committed here and I trust me, and I pay them well, and they feel like they want to be here, and maybe even potentially level them up and to progress them further. Like I'm looking for ways to do that. Sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't. But that's my perspective into it is, make it worth this guy to not go to Kansas to come here tomorrow and fix the door dings for me or run to the wholesale account when all his buddies are saying, come out here to Texas and make $5,000 a day or whatever they're making.
How much of that? So you're talking about the person with the work has to pay somebody enough to make them want to come back and make them happy, right? You want them to come back to you and work for you in the future. How much of that translates to the hail world? Like, is that basically the same when you're dealing with the broker or dealing with someone you go work at their shop? How it's the same thing, right? They should want to pay a technician the amount that they'll be happy with and come back and work for them in the future.
So I think that's easier, that you're going to have more access to technicians. So you could get away with paying your guys less percentages because there's always essentially someone who's going to come out there and do that. Like when I'm talking about what I do here, this is more of like the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of guys who'll go sit on a short, bad job because there's nothing else happening. Most of these guys have zero income in the off season. Maybe they have another source of income, but like when the off season, they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. So they're a lot more likely to go sit on a bad job
and just eat it
until
something better comes
along, which is a better value, right? And then they're going to jump. And then what are you doing? You got to replace them with technicians, right? I mean, I'll never forget one of the worst jobs I did was Metro Ford in Minneapolis, and I want to say it was 2013. Might have been 14. No, it was 2013. Minneapolis. It was like August or September, maybe October, and this Ford dealership got just destroyed, and Dent Wizard just came in and just horrible prices on these jobs, on these cars. Like, where you're taking doors off. I mean, golf ball dents on the bottom of Ford Explorer doors, like sides were smoked, rails, everything just horrible, and just like really horrible prices.
Woof.
And I was told to go there, and we showed up, and it was like guys were waiting for other technicians just so they could bounce. And as soon as we showed up, it was like you heard the truck's remote start and the tools were out of the tent. And as soon as we showed up, other guys were gone. Like, because they were trying to manage that relationship. Because they wanted to go to work for Dent Wizard again later in the year. And if you just bounce on them like that, then you can build a bad reputation for yourself. Some guys care about it. Some guys don't. They're just like, I'm out of here. Screw this. But some guys were like, nope, I'm waiting until my replacement shows up. And as soon as I'm done, I'm gone. And it was like a ghost town. When we showed up, there was doors off laying in the grass. The R&I guy was like, he just inherited this mess. He didn't know where bolts were. He didn't know where parts were. There was glass out of doors, door panels off. And just like, we showed up and it was just an absolute disaster. And I think we stayed on that job for like maybe 4 days before the job just died. Like the whole thing just got squashed. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but it just fell apart. And it was just bad. But I got sent to this job, and I'm just reiterating a point. Guys just bounced as soon as we showed up, right? So they're always looking to move on to the greener pastures, and some guys do well with that. They just bounce from good gig to better gig to best gig, and some guys will play the long game, and they just stick around. I guess it really depends on your skill level, too. Maybe your demand as a technician. It's all just a different game. It's just how you play the game. Are you going to just hold no emotion to it and just say, nope, I'm always going to go to the better opportunity? That's just what it is. I'm away from my family 6 months a year. I need to maximize every day, and I'm not going to sit around a bad job when there's a better job, 200 miles away. I'm going to go to that thing. I don't fault you for that. And there's other guys who are like, I'm going to ride it out. I want to get on with this team or with this group of guys or with this hail group, and I don't want to just be known as the guy who bounces around and you got to replace, because you can develop that bad rap of being not the long-term guy. So, again, it's just different facets of the game, and people decide how they want to play it, and that's up to you. But yeah, man, it's a really hard topic. I don't know that we're bringing any clarity to the topic, because
we just muddied the water even more.
There's so many variables to it, right?
Yeah.
But I think if we could just say anything, it's just like, when I worked for Dent Wizard, I got a less percentage, but I got a 401k. I had a really good 401k match. I had benefits. I had a truck. I had a phone. I had the ability to, I'd go to Australia. They'd pay for all that. They'd handle my visa. I'm just asking you a question. How many of you guys have been working in other countries legally with visas? I know a lot of guys go to other countries. I know a lot of other guys who come here and work. And who's doing it legally with visas? Again, I don't care. Do what you want. But I'm just saying, they handled all that process for me so that it was all legally. How many of you guys have been stiffed on jobs? Maybe you worked there for a month, and then the guy stiffs you, and you end up owing you $80,000 or whatever, and you just lost that money because some random dude just peeled wheels and left town and owes you $80,000. I got paid every 2 weeks from Dent Wizard, no matter if the company, whatever happened with the company, maybe the dealership group decided they weren't going to pay or whatever. Dent Wizard always paid me as long as my boxes were checked and my responsibilities for that. So there was a lot of value there for me. I would go there. To Australia. They'd handle my rental car. They'd handle my condo. They'd handle my per diem. They'd get on my bags there, which isn't cheap, and it's $1,000 in overcharged bags each way. My tickets to get there.
So there was more than just the percentage involved.
There's more in there's this other value that you have to consider other than just a percentage is all I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm not telling you what to do, but just look at the whole picture, not just the little pie that says the percentage.
Right.
It could be great. It could be bad.
Right.
So
we just got back from DB Expo in Italy. What was this? A couple weeks ago we got back?
Yeah, April 13th through 15th.
Okay. I don't remember. Yeah. Early April.
11th through 13th or something.
Yep. Good experience. That was your second time. That was my first time going over there. My first time in Italy. How was it from your perspective?
So it was a better show.
Uh-huh.
So it was
in what ways?
So Danilo is a freak of nature, the guy who hosts the show. And I don't understand how you go, that's just from no show to the second show ever. And it was that good and that organized and that well done. I would think it would take a lot longer of a process to get the quality show that he's done. If you just look at the second one, it was absolute amazing, right? On top of it, let's just say it was the 100th one. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was still a great show.
Mm-hmm.
They said, listen, I don't know, you confirm it however you want. They said there was 8,000 people that went to that show. That's what Danilo told me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people. I don't know what. So what was unique about this one was it was in this convention hall, let's just say, and you walk in, and there's a main corridor / lobby, foyer, whatever. It's pretty big. It had an amphitheater and big flat screens that people did their education day in. There's these classes that were just running that were free. You could just walk and sit in the amphitheater. And then if you went to the left room, this big room, it was all detailing / body shop, body repair products. And then if you went right, they had all the PDR. And so, the show was broken up into two pieces, right? Essentially, you couldn't see into the body shop unless you went into that room. So it's hard to tell what the exact traffic is because it's kind of false
Right.
from your perception standing in your booth.
Right. You're basically looking at half the show the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't really tell you like if it was 8,000 or more or less.
Right.
It's no real reference for me. But we were busy,
Yeah.
very heavily busy. So they have their show on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a mistake. I think he's changed it now, and they're going to have it Friday and Saturday.
Really?
Because people don't, on Sunday, people want to be driving home.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
there was a fall off on Sunday.
Huge fall off on Sunday. Like, I don't want to say ghost town, but it was a
big difference.
It was a major difference between Saturday and Sunday.
For sure.
As opposed to Mobile Tech here, it's definitely busier on Friday, but there's still a good amount of people that I think our biggest sales are on Friday. And then we have another good, decent sales day on Saturday. You know, this one, I think he's going to change it next year to Friday and Saturday and let people go home on Sunday, which I think is wise. So, but Friday was nonstop. I didn't get to go out of our booth. So we didn't go there with A1. It was just Dent Slayer, and we took a small sample of our stuff. I mean,
we're putting together a video of the whole trip. Basically, I filmed parts of the entire trip from leaving Jacksonville to getting back to Jacksonville.
The entire trip.
So we really wanted to bring you along and just kind of give you a perspective of what it was like for us to be on that whole trip.
The only stuff you didn't get was me in the bathroom on the toilet. Other than that, there was no break.
No boundaries.
No break in the filming. It was just, Matt, take a bite of your sandwich again. Oh my god!
I even had I was stuck in the booth, So I even had Martin Sadler, the YouTuber. He helped me film some stuff of the competition because I was like, I couldn't leave the booth because you were judging the competition, and so I even have some footage from him that he
okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna patch that in. I'm gonna ask him to give the commentary of basically the parts that he filmed and put that in there. But yeah, it's gonna be a long video. It's probably gonna be about 30 minutes of the whole thing. So if you want to really get a perspective of the whole trip, what we saw in Italy before the show, after the show, the whole thing, definitely keep your eyes open for that video. Probably be done in a week or two.
So last year, 2024, me and my wife went and we did some sightseeing. We went to Rome and we went to Florence and we went to Venice, and we were able to get out and really explore and see parts of Italy. This year we didn't do any of that. I mean, I think we went to Lake Garda for the afternoon, you and I.
Garda?
Whatever. What's
Como.
Lake Como. Lake Como. We went to Lake Como for the day.
Went to Lake Como, and then we explored the town that the venue was in, which Erba.
Yeah. And we toured this other little town, this little medieval looking town too.
That was in Erba.
Okay. That was a cool little ancient town.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a whole lot of sightseeing or touring that we did. It was really just do the show and get home.
Yeah.
So a lot less eventful on that end, but the show was great. It was in a really cool venue as far as the building goes, and a lot more American companies went this year. Now, again, one thing against him, Danilo, and having the show is it's prime hail season in April in the States. So I think a lot more guys were scheduled to go. I think Carbon Tech was going to go, Excalibur was going to go, Metal Medic was going to go, and he had a lot more people that were, I'll go, that were halfway committed, and then it hailed here, and then guys aren't. I mean, that's just their prime season for either making money on dents or selling the tools, and so it's really hard to fight that. And so there were companies that backed out that didn't show, but there were aside from the guys that backed out, there were still a lot more companies that went this year than last year. So let's just say, who were some of the companies that went?
So we were right next to the Willie. So Willie Quick was there.
Willie Quick was there.
Anson was there.
Anson had a much bigger booth. So last year they had like a kiosk. They had like glue tabs and glue and some like wedges. This year, I mean, they had
decent sized booth.
Most of their inventory, other than
not like Mobile Tech RX.
No, but they had
Tech Expo.
No, but they had a lot.
They did, yeah.
I helped them set up, and I'm like, guys, good luck selling all this because this is a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah.
More than I thought they were going to sell. I don't know what they did, proportionally what they sold or what they didn't, but it seemed like a lot of stuff that they were up. But they were there.
Keith with Black Plague.
Keith was there. And Kiko had a big showing there. Oh, Sal Dent Dial was there. He made that trip with his brother. Yeah, I can't think offhand. But
yeah.
The JVF guys were there, which they're not American company. They're
several British companies. Woodpecker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that venue too. So I really liked the venue, and so it was in a small town. That's a really cool, really small town of Erba, Italy, right by Lake Como, 15 minutes from Lake Como, which is pretty touristy. But then where we were in Erba, not touristy at all. I felt like it was very, realistic, modern Italian little village.
Yeah.
Not my saying modern. I'm just saying, but a decent sized venue in this tiny town, basically, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And you didn't mention that there was a cafe inside the venue.
Yeah.
That was really cool. A lot of sandwiches, pastries, cappuccino, espresso, that full deal. But very, very cool cafe inside there.
Yeah. That was right in the lobby where, dude, during the day, like lunch, that was like the only place to eat without leaving the venue.
Yeah.
And there was just a line of dudes.
The whole day.
Like it was
from morning till the end.
Crazy.
It was bumping.
Yeah. Like, they should probably have another one or a food truck or something that shows up on top of that just to facilitate the wait times for dudes, because it was pretty. I'd leave to go look at it, getting a sandwich. I'm like, man, I can't stand that freaking line. I had to go pay Jonathan to go stand in line for me to get me a half a sandwich or something, just so I could not die of starvation.
Yeah, that was another American there. Jonathan Balderrama was there.
Balderrama, yeah. So what's cool about the what am I talking about? The
DB Expo?
No.
Venue?
The competition.
A competition.
What's cool about the competition
PDR Championship? Is that what it was called?
Yeah. So a lot of good talent there as far as technicians. There's some really amazing technicians that go from all around the world, represented from China, Japan, Slovenia, Ukraine, Germany, obviously the U.S., Australia, lot of diversity as far as that goes. But then they want to represent the same with the coaches, with the judges. So they had somebody. They tried to have. I think they tried to make it as diverse as possible. So me and Jonathan were the American judges, even though Jonathan's Argentinian, Australian, whatever you want to call him. But then they had judges from Japan and judges from, I don't know, whatever. Lots of different judges. And so I think that was a cool little part of it. Like, it's not just, all Americans or all Italians or whatever it was. They tried to make it well-rounded in that regard. So I've never competed. I don't know as far as if the damage was harder than in the States or not. It was all hard. You can gauge, you can stage the hardness by the time or the placement of the dents too. So there was a lot of variables that it was difficult. I mean, I'll just say this: from some of the bad dents I saw, they must have been difficult, or there were some really bad repairs that I saw that are like, good Lord, what did you do? Like, I don't know that I can do that. I don't know that I can make it look that bad. Some of them were really bad, and I'm not trying to be arrogant when I say that. I'm saying they were like, how do you make a dent look that bad?
Yeah.
And some were really bad, but some were just like, holy crap! Like, how did you do that in that
short
area,
amount of
short
time.
amount of time in that area with the amount of tools you brought? You know, you don't have your whole arsenal. You've got what you think you're going to need, right? And so, some really amazing technicians.
Do you remember who won that?
His name is Yuri. Well, there's a couple different. The only one I knew who won was Yuri. Yuri won first place. I'm going to mess it up, but I think I don't know where he's from Ukraine or.
You're in a minefield.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just stepped on one, I think. So his name is Yuri. Yuri won it. And then second place. I don't know, man. You can look it up. I want to mess up their names because they're all international dudes. But then Miramax or Miro won second place, and then the Brazilian from Australia, what's his name? Won third. You gonna look it up?
I'm looking it up. I'm asking ChatGPT. Let's see if it says anything. It's struggling. It's not giving me anything.
Yeah. So we didn't prepare for this, so I'm drawing blanks right now, but yeah. Dude, that ChatGPT, man, even Keith was on
That's
that
incredible.
stuff. The whole time we were there, he was.
This is giving me Diego.
Almeida. Yeah, Diego won third.
Okay.
Yep. So, yes, I'm sorry, Diego. I forgot your name briefly.
But I think it's because he's probably one of the only people that advertised what happened.
Yeah.
That's why it's feeding me this.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, dude, that whole trip we were using it constantly.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like, even we were trying to park in this town, and there's a sign, and we're like, what does this sign mean? Can we park here or not? And so you
got to download the app. You got to pay with coin. Yeah.
And so we took a picture of it, fed it to ChatGPT, and said, we're in Italy. We're trying to park. There's this sign. What does it mean? And it basically said, okay, you can park at this spot between this hours and this hours, and you can only park for an hour. Make sure you set your time meter in your windshield, which is just like a little plastic clock where you put what time you parked there. And it was so easy. We would have never in a million years figured that out.
Yeah. ChatGPT is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're traveling, man, ChatGPT is it.
That's the new Google.
I use it more than Google probably now on some things. Things that are like that where I'm trying to find a very specific answer really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could find ChatGPT on my computer that fast.
So, anything else about Italy that you want to talk about?
Well, the food wasn't that great. I gotta say,
there's a lot of let's say grains, bread, pasta. They are heavy on that stuff, but nobody's fat in Italy.
yeah,
Everybody's trim and skinny basically, but they're only eating bread and pasta.
the pastas and breads are definitely different.
Gotta be.
Yeah, but aside from that, the places we ate, which they were just random places, like no real rhyme or reason. It was just where we're at and are we hungry or not. Food wasn't that great. I mean,
Did you like the dinner we ate with the Cosentinos?
well,
That was probably my best meal. I got a good.
no.
My first entree was good.
Didn't you get the picanha?
Yeah, but that was horrible.
Exactly.
But that was my second entree.
Exactly. The picanha
That's why I got 2 entrees.
was barely edible.
But the previous dish.
This was a high-end restaurant where you got to get reservations. We had to make reservations.
Yeah.
Picanha is easy to make. We make it here in my shop. And like I can make it like I can make a really good picanha.
Yeah. Marcio, the Italians, they don't know how to do the picanha. Marcio's Brazilian. He knows.
This was not good. I mean, they need a lesson. If you're going to have that on your menu, you better do it a little better.
Yeah. But I had like a first time I've ever had risotto, and it was like a saffron risotto with the meat on top. Still don't know what meat that was, but it was really good. That was the best plate that I had the whole trip, I think, of Italian food.
So I would say the picanha was bad. Other than that, everything was okay, but it's not like, oh my gosh, the food was amazing.
Is risotto Italian?
I don't know.
I don't know.
How to even
Is it
spell
French?
that word.
I don't know.
I don't know. I remember that from Billy Madison when she made him spell it at the board.
Risotto? I couldn't spell it.
He couldn't write his Z's.
Okay, you know the movie. What's the movie with the rat on top of the chef? Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
You know how he likes saffron? He's like, this thing needs some saffron.
Okay.
So that's like a thing in my house. People talk about saffron, but we've never had it. It's like a fancy spice. The Ricci's aren't putting saffron and stuff, right? That was my first time having that, and I don't know. I couldn't taste it really. I don't even know what it really tastes like. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
Isn't saffron worth like a lot of money?
I think so.
Like people like.
I think it's an expensive spice.
Yeah. Well, really expensive.
Maybe that's why I couldn't taste it. Maybe they just a little bit.
A little spare on that. Just enough to.
Yeah. But we were in northern Italy though, but the food was mid, but I really liked the town. Erba. I really liked it. I really liked the vibe. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the small town atmosphere of the show.
Yeah.
And the hotel that everyone stayed at was across a 2-lane road from the venue. So you literally walked out of the parking lot and into the other parking lot and you're there. It was right there. So that was really cool.
Here's my
Let's 100 times quicker to get from your hotel room to the floor than even at MTE. And you're in the same building at MTE.
Yeah.
This place you're walking across the street
5 minutes.
Like easy.
Yeah. I think we are spoiled in America. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like we have a lot of great, like America is a great country as far as like just if you're just looking at hotels and food availability and restaurants and like things to do, like it's an amazing country. And when you visit these other countries, like spend a lot of time in Australia and now going to Italy, and like you're like, man, we've got it pretty good as far as like the food. Mm-hmm. Like there's the V Pizza, which is right here. Like, dude, we went there and had that pizza, and I'm like, this is much better than any pizza I had in Italy.
That
and
pizza
it's a half
is
mile
amazing.
from my shop in St. Augustine. Like it's so good. It's amazing.
But they get those ovens from Sicily, made in Sicily.
Yes,
they're wood-fired ovens, and we have them right here in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
that's why America's awesome.
America has a lot going for it. We were in Dallas at the open house, and you're just driving through Dallas, and you're just seeing we went to this one. It was called
is it a barbecue place?
No, it's like a outdoor mall / area. Someone will know what the
a flea market.
No. This is like high-end shopping, high-end restaurants.
Buc-ee's gas station.
No. So there's a Shields there, which is Shields is like it's outdoor / sports store. So imagine like a Bass Pro, but like a little cooler.
Okay.
Like they got guns you can go pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just there, and you can go like They got tons of stuff, and like they got everything you want there. Shields is really cool. So it's right there next. The Shields is in it, in this like outdoor mall. They got like these Andretti kart. You can go to the racing go-karts there, and like high-end restaurants, and like anyhow, some really, really cool shopping, and even like the spaces between the shopping where you're just walking. It looks like Disney World, you know, as far as like the amount of time and creativity they're putting into it.
Yes.
And I'm walking through this thing like, this is crazy. Like, this is just a mall here in Dallas it's super nice. Like and then you go to stockyards and you're experiencing all that, and like what we have in America is pretty
amazing.
awesome. Pretty awesome. You don't see things like that in other countries. I mean, maybe you do. I'm sure there's lots of other great experiences in other countries, but like what I'm saying is like they're way more available here.
Yes.
All over the place.
Yes.
Like
modern conveniences and stuff is
yeah. Like a Buc-ee's gas station. Like that's only an American thing. Like if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, it's like a Walmart, but it's a gas station.
It's also pretty good brisket.
What I'm saying is like that size.
Yes.
Essentially, almost.
Right.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's a gas station.
Yeah.
And it's just.
I would eat there every meal if I could.
Well, we actually got sick of it, man, because we got 10 minutes here from the shop, and we were eating there right when it opened, and it got kind of old when you eat it every day. But it's really good. I'm not dogging Buc-ee's. It's not like Publix. Publix I can eat there every day. But what I'm saying is we have it really good in America. We got some really cool things.
So when I was in Iraq, some of the bases that they take over and make like military bases out of are palaces, because they're already walled. And so you have like these bases that are palaces. And so you go from just dirt, crappy everything, and you go through the walls and you're inside this palace, you know, these huge walls and gates, and you're like, boom, you're inside this palace, and there's trees and there's maybe some grass. But just the fact that there are plants in there is better than outside the gates. They have irrigation in here, but inside this palace, you're like, wow, this is so nice. There's curbs on the roads. Just everything is pretty nice, and it's just a huge contrast from outside the palace. But if you think about it, even in these palaces in Iraq, what you're seeing is in every neighborhood in Jacksonville, Florida. Like you go in, there's a million neighborhoods that are nicer than that palace.
Yeah.
And normal people live there. It's crazy. But what a royal family's living in this palace, and they're the only ones that have curbs on the sides of their roads and trees.
The place in Dallas is called Grandscape.
Okay.
The name of the mall or whatever that place is called Grandscape. Anyhow, I had to get that off my tongue, but yeah, we're really fortunate, and it's.
So I'm in the booth Sunday, I think it was, and you just tossed me this trophy, and you're like, "Hey, I won this." I'm like, "What is this?" And you're like, "Oh, influencer of the year." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Yep.
Like they gave you this? You're like, yeah. They called me up front and everything. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, so I won Influencer of the Year. I got an award for Influencer of the Year. So very grateful to get that.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done that without you.
Nah.
Because definitely that is not my specialty, is putting that stuff out there and doing this quality of stuff. So I think that's a dual win there between you and I. But I need to be influencing more, I guess. If that I'm going to hold that trophy, I need to
Is it in here?
Yeah, it's right there behind you.
Oh.
It's up on the shelf.
All right. There it is.
Yep.
So I'm going to get that out here so people can see it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's set it.
DB Expo.
Yeah.
Influencer del Año, Matt Boyette. Un ring zamana. I can't read Italian.
Yeah.
But there it is. Boom.
Pretty cool little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an honor to be given any
Congrats.
awards in a show that big with 8,000 people and people represented from all over the world. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they did have, so on Saturday night they had a party that if you were an exhibitor, you basically could go to this party and there was food and drinks and stuff, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talked about their vision for it, although half of it was in Italian. I mean, they talked about their vision for the show and what they're doing, and it's unique. You know, I know I'm not trying to compare it to mobile tech. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know, and different experience, and they're both great.
Yeah.
It was just cool seeing a single guy. I mean, I think he's got some financial backers, obviously, that he's going to do that. Like, but what I'm saying is he's put that together in 2 years.
Incredible.
And it's really cool. So hats off to that guy. He's a hustler, and I finally convinced him to come to MTE. He's never been, and I feel like he's losing out on that deal.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to come this year.
He better.
We secured him a exhibitor pass so he can
Sweet.
come in. But yeah, he's going to come. He's going to fly to Orlando, do the show, go to Disney, take his kids, do all that deal, and then he's got some family in Miami he's going to go hang out with and then go home. But I think he's going to be, if you've never been to America and you're going to come right in Orlando and go to Disney, you're about to get blown away, right?
Yeah. So one thing I will say is I've heard some horror stories about people as tourists in Italy, mainly in the bigger cities. Kind of they'll park their car with all their bags and they'll get broken into and all their bags get stolen out of their car, out of their rental car or whatever. So I've heard that several times. But where we were, I never felt any kind of, like a high crime level or anything. Did you, there was no sign of any kind of crime, or I never felt unsafe.
Not where we were. It was more.
It was very low key. Everybody was very friendly.
It wasn't a tourist town.
No,
it was just a normal town.
Very safe. Yeah, that was surprising, and I really thought that was cool.
Rome felt that way. Rome felt a little
like you could get robbed.
Yeah, it felt a little ratchet at places where you're like, I have my head on a swivel there the entire time. Like, I got followed there. Was I telling you? Yeah, I was telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were.
That time that guy followed me and Kelly. And
yeah.
Like,
never had any experience like that where we were.
No.
Yeah.
But,
very safe.
Yeah, it was very safe.
Dude, we're like almost an hour and 40 minutes into this already.
Well, you got to talk faster.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Mobile Tech RX, the #1 app built for auto recon pros. Whether you're chasing hail, fixing wheels, or repairing dents, Mobile Tech RX handles the full workflow from estimate to payment with zero fluff. With tools like X-ray, access photos, hail matrices, and tech pay tracking, you'll save time, make more, and look damn good doing it. Start your 5-day free trial at mobiletechrx.com.
State of the brand. Okay. Where are we at with Dent Slayer, man? We started off with one tool. What are we doing?
Well, we started off with one tool back in 2019, 20. Literally the tool that's behind me on the wall here. And it's slowly turned into what it is today. So what is it today? Well, we've got, we like to think of Dent Slayer in 3 facets: tools, training, and podcast. Right? And tools could be even products. Like we've got our shirts and our merch and our hats and stickers and our patches, and we're trying to do more of that. And we want to really provide that to you guys. So we're creating some opportunities that those will be better available for you guys to access. So we're trying to do that more. The training, We've created the training platform where you can log on to a website and learn from the comfort of your own home. And some of that is free videos. Then we have the paid version of it, which is more extensive and way more content there. But then we've also got it where if you want to come here and train with me, we can do that. So we had a training last month. I've got another training booked for this month. I'm trying to not do a lot of it. I'm trying to pace myself because I am a technician every day and I have to run my business. And we do some big accounts that I can't just walk away from for these large durations of time and try to keep them. So I'm trying to only do 1 week-long training a month. That's really what I've told myself. I won't do more than that. So again, trying to pace it, and so we're doing that, which I think is. I'm just going to be biased and say I think my training is very unique. I'm sure everybody does, but I definitely think that, and I'm trying to not make you just a dent tech, but a thinker and understand some metal theory. And I'm trying to. I don't want to give away some things. There's some proprietary things there that I'm trying to work on and build. Let's just say, but I'm trying to apply that into my training, if that makes sense. So just take what I just said and say like that's going into my training, and I'm not just teaching you how to fix a dent. I mean, I am doing that. Don't get me wrong. We're fixing some dents here, but I'm trying to let you leave here with more than that. Not that you just showed up here and we fixed some dents. So it's kind of like the give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. I'm trying to like teach you how to fish so that you know. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but like come train with me and you'll see.
Yeah.
Or just give me some time to further work that out verbally. That makes more sense to you guys. But
we got stuff going on with Anson. You were just at the open house.
Yep. So on top of the tools, the metal tools that we have with A1, the rods and the AR9s and 10s and the twisty tools that we have, we've got a lot of those. I don't know how many SKUs we have currently with A1. I'm going to say 50 to 60 SKUs of tools between tips and rods and things like that. But yeah, we've started making our own glue. We've partnered with Anson to do that. So we've provided, currently on the market right now, you can buy it today, is the collision glue. And we have another one that I'm just going to say it's here, but it's not here, but it's done. We're just waiting literally for the box to arrive, which is a hail glue. So we looked at the glues that are out, and it can be really confusing. There's a lot of glues. I mean, and rightly so. I mean, we want more things available to us, but if you're a newer guy and you're trying to choose what glue do I use in this situation, it can be confusing because there's a lot of variables in what glue you use and when. And so we wanted to have 2 glues. One is the hot climate collision. That glue is out. And then we have a cool climate hail. And so really what you're looking at with those 2 glues, and I'm just going to be very brief and just like not go down this whole rabbit trail, but like the warm climate collision glue, it sets up longer and it holds firmer for a longer time. The other glue sets up quicker and it comes off a little quicker. So there's reasons why you would want those. If you're doing hail and you're just pulling small hail dents and you're trying to go fast and be efficient, you don't want to be sitting there trying to pick glue off and getting a wedge and trying to scrape glue off. You're losing time, you're losing money, and that's not ideal. So basically you want it to stay on long enough to do its job and then get off the panel and get off my tab so I can move on to the next dent. Whereas the collision glue that we're doing, you don't want that to come off until you want it off. you're setting up under these large tension systems that take a long time to set up, right? I mean, you can have 30 minutes in setting up before you even apply tension or put a tool on it or a glue tab to it. Like you're setting up these tension systems or those perpendicular pulls with towers, and you have to set all these things up, and you might have 4 tension systems on the panel that you're doing, and you don't want that to fall off prematurely. And so you need it to, and then you need it to hold under a load for a long time. Like I've ran that Kiko K-Power one, and I've put it up there for hours under tension while I repair the dent, and you need it to stay and not fall off the panel or become brittle. And so there are reasons why you would want the 2 glues. And so, or let's just say different glues. We've just tried to make the 2 glues to make it kind of simple. And you can kind of cheat some of the glues as far as like with your pull times and how long you let it set up before you pull it. And there's some variables there, but we try to make a very clear, circling back here, we try to make a very clear product that says
simple system.
These simple systems. These are the 2 glues. You know, pick one or the other for guys. So we have that. The other glue should be out essentially any day now. We're literally just waiting for it to arrive by boat. The other thing is I just got back from Kiko. So I went to Anson Open House, and then I drove up to Kiko and spent a little bit of time with those guys up there. And we have a product that we're working on with them. Hopefully, if everything works out the way we think it will, and we can see eye to eye on everything, we'll have something really, really cool to release at MTE. This thing is amazing. Like,
And it's probably not what you would expect.
Yeah, it
from
isn't.
a Kiko partnership.
It isn't, but so we looked at, I mean, I developed this thing here in my shop with the help of some of my neighbors who use these things every day, so to speak. And so I made it, the prototype here in my shop, and obviously fell in love with it and used it. And it's definitely one of these is like, wow, where has this been most of my career? And so then I looked at, okay, who are we going to align with to make this? And we really felt like Kiko was the most suited for this type of product. And so after talking with Danny and Chris, and we did some video discussions about it, and Chris was like, let's do it. Bring it up here. Let's start developing it. And so I was able to take it with me and get it to Kiko, and I spent the day with Reggie, the engineer, and Danny, and really work through this thing. And I think from what it is and what I've built thus far, on top of what Kiko is going to do with it, I'm already blown away, and I'm just seeing it in my head, like, because I know what it is now, and I'm just looking at what they're going to do, and I'm like, I can't wait, because I know it's going to be just one of the coolest things that PDR Industries put out. Like I think so. Like it's going to be pretty. I hope I'm not building it up too hard either. Like I don't want to do that. But I mean,
hopefully it'll be done by MTE.
Hopefully it'll be done.
MTE.
Yeah, the goal is MTE. So
yeah.
we're not going to rush this thing, and we want to put in the time and make it what it is. But yeah, the goal is to have some at MTE.
Yeah. So another discussion that we've been having and that I think we should mention is just this, how your company is built, what you're focusing on. I feel like there's a balance of innovation and efficiency, right? So like if we have basically made Dent Slayer to be heavily innovative, right? Fast moving, constantly developing new things. And that business model, that fast-moving, heavy innovation, that prioritizing that is going to make a more expensive product rather than if you have a company that's just based on, taking something and looking at it and say, okay, how do I make this thing that already exists the most cheaply as possible, right? I don't have any time or money invested in developing this, but here it is. And now I'm going to make this thing as cheaply as possible. And that's a whole nother way to run a company and a whole nother set of things to focus on. I almost think that it's impossible to make a company, successful that could focus on both of those things. So we just started talking about this, I think it's always an issue of copies and overseas tool makers constantly copying stuff. But, when somebody buys our stuff, they're supporting what we're doing moving forward. They're supporting, they're adding fuel to this situation that is creating things for the future. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think I'm a creator. Like, I love creating things. So I love the hunt or the process of developing something that doesn't exist, or problem solving, right? There's a problem. I know there's a solution for it. Let me come up with that solution, right? But now after I've done it, like, I don't want to make that thing 1,000 times again, right? And that's where other companies come in. They take that and they say, okay, how do I make this thing 1,000 times again, but be more efficient in how long it takes me to make it, or cost effective, or whatever. But I'm not that guy who wants to make 1,000 of them. I want to make one of them and then fix that problem, came up with that solution, and now I move on to the next problem. And so I think it's easy to look at a company, let's just say a PDR tool company like this, and think, oh, they're just always making new stuff and they're just trying to get our money all the time. And that's not really descriptive of it, because I'm just in my lane doing what I want to do, which is try to problem solve. And sometimes we hit it on the head and we make a really good solution for a bad problem. Sometimes you don't. What you think is cool might not translate the same with the rest of the guys. And so, but I just try to stay in my lane of where I think I do good, which is in the creation, problem solving side of it. And then I try to partner with other companies who are really good at producing them and being efficient at that. But going to what you said is that if everybody was copying my products, you can take the wind out of people's sails really quickly, right? Because so on the development side is the most cost, right? So the development side of any product, I don't care what it is, that's the most cost you're going to incur, right? You're in the prototyping. You're getting small quantities made, maybe one of something, and you're having it made, and the person who's making it isn't going to give you a volume price, so you're paying a premium for this one thing, and then maybe it's wrong, and you got to go make another one, and then another one, and then you have this.
That can take a long time too.
You have this loss per se for the product because you've had so much time and potential money in the development of it, right? And so then right when you get to the point to where I've got this product and now we're going to bring it to market, and now I can know what my exact costs are in this real time and how long it takes to make it and how many I can make and what my once you get all that math done and you're trying to somewhat compensate for all the other loss of, right? Now someone comes and copies it. There's no creativity behind it. There's no penalty or cost of building it, getting there. They just come in and say, oh, thanks for doing all the hard work. Thanks for fronting all the cost up front. You've done all the development of it. I can just take that product now and go copy it and be the efficiency side. How can I make this cheaper? And you're only punishing the person, the development side of it, right? You're making it not rewarding or worth it for that guy to go back and do another product, right? Who wants to go do that and spend all this time and effort and energy in the development side when you know as soon as you get it there, someone's going to go copy it and take all your profits from where you should become profitable, right?
Yeah.
And so you're the one paying the penalty and you don't get the reward for it. Someone else just steals it from you. So I think we as PDR technicians need to support the people who are innovators in our industry. I'm very, very heavy on that. Like, you shouldn't be, this is my personal belief, do what you want, you shouldn't be promoting copycats. You shouldn't be promoting the Temu brands. You shouldn't be promoting the guys who only are good at duplicating, who are not good at innovating, right? Because you're not furthering our industry. You're not rewarding. How do you phrase it a minute ago? You're not
investing in the future development, future innovation. Say the bedside tool that Brandon Schmitz just came out with, right? I think that took him over a year to come up with that thing. And I've been wanting that for a long time, and I'm getting pretty good at using that thing. It solves a problem like nothing else has. There's things that are kind of similar, but his is bendable. Like, everything about it is dialed in, and that took a long time of sending it back, make this cut a little bit different, make it more bendable, make it more rigid. And like, I want that dude to make more stuff, right? So I want to buy his stuff so that he will be like, man, that was cool. I ended up making some money off this. I'm going to do this again.
My time.
Yeah. And it's like, he feels encouraged and excited to keep doing that. Right. And so I want him to be, like you said, to take the wind out of somebody's sails. We want to, help him be encouraged to make that next thing, to make, basically going to make my life easier. If I don't know if there's a copy yet, but I'm sure there is one on the way, but
there will be.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be an Amazon version that's going to be a fraction of what it is. And everyone's going to be like, forget that one. They're ripping you off by you can get on Amazon for $10. And it's like, man, like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah. And we're not trying to be total, like, nobody's a purist, right? Everybody's being inspired by other things. And like, you didn't invent the hammer, right? So there's going to be some times where people have similar things, or people have tools that kind of come together at the same time, and who came up with it first. We're not trying to, I feel like there's a lot of room to be gracious with each other whenever there's a lot of people innovating, right? But that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about just the totally taking one thing and like, okay, I can make this cheaper. I can make, and then you're just, like you said, you're taking the sales out of people's creativity. That's going to hurt us in the long run. That's what it's going to do.
I also, like, of course, I don't like that, and I don't want guys to do that. But it also, like, when I see that, I kind of just shake my head and be like, listen, man, anybody can copy something, like, but my specialty, like my special skill set, like, not a lot of people can do. Like, and I don't mean that, like, I mean, we have a lot in our industry, but I'm saying, like, it takes that it takes a special person to be able to innovate and to bring a product to market, as opposed to anyone essentially can duplicate a product. And so we have a lot of people who are good at duplicating things. They're going to take a glue tab, a Reaper tab, and Temu's going to copy it, and they're going to like, oh, you can get these much cheaper. But if you only reward the duplicators, the innovators go away. If the innovators go away, there's no more innovation. So what happens is you have this stagnant phase where like nobody's innovating because it's not worth it.
Or the people that are, they're just doing it for themselves. They're not bringing it to market. They make something new. It helps themselves, but they don't bother to bring it to market to help other people.
Yeah. So you should be if you buy the tools from the innovators, then you're investing in the future innovation. You're saying, continue doing what you're doing. I want to reward you by buying your product, and I support you by continuing on this journey that you are of bringing innovation to our industry.
And really, we know that we're kind of preaching to the choir here because you're sitting here listening to our podcast. We know that you're probably the ones buying our stuff. You're the ones supporting, Brandon Schmitz and John Vidine and just, people whose tools you want them to keep making tools. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting innovation. We appreciate you guys for, basically spending that extra money to keep everything moving forward.
I want you to be dead honest.
Uh-oh.
What percentage of tools that are in your truck right now are Dent Slayer tools that you've bought?
Like weight-wise?
No, like...
I'm saying if I put the Dent Slayer tools on the weight, I don't know. Like not half, way less than half. Maybe 30%.
Okay. And I mean,
I have a lot.
You have a lot.
Yeah.
And we're 30% is a lot, which I agree.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Like I would think the average technician might have of his tools, of all his PDR tools. I mean, if every product that you've got that might have a Dent Wizard logo on it, I'm going to say
5, 10.
No, I would think maybe 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
Is a Dent Slayer product.
Yeah.
So we're not coming at this from this like angle where it's like I'm really trying to have this high percentage and I'm trying to sell everybody tools. I'm not under the illusion that everyone's going to buy my tools, and if they do, it's going to be a low percentage that's mine. There's a lot of good tool makers out there, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying this not because I make Dent Slayer tools, which I mean obviously I do, but I'm saying this as an ambassador of our industry. Like I think we as an industry I can say this in good faith that like I support the other tool companies. I'm not just a Dent Slayer fanboy and only own Dent Slayer stuff. I'm buying the stuff. 3 of my favorite products that I bought this year, or that I've used this year, that I've used this year, are not my products. And I don't want to say because I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but like I've got maybe I'll do something on my socials with them, but like they're amazing products. Well, one is the K-Power. That's not mine. That's one of the coolest things I bought this year, and I love it. And it's amazing. I mean, you should go buy that. Like I left my booth in Italy with a technician to go help him buy, and we sold 2 K-Powers to that guy. So this guy came up and he was like, he follows me on social media and he's like, Matt, can I show you this dent repair? I'm like, absolutely, man. Show me what you did. I want to see it. And so he showed me this dent and it was amazing. I was like, how did you do it? Like, it looks really good. And it was a deep body line on a hatch. I'm like, did you do any tension? He's like, no, I don't have any tension systems. I'm like, okay, if you got that looking that good with no tension, and it was a chop. Imagine what you'd have done with tension. You should definitely get a tension system That's going to make that repair go much faster and more than likely a lot cleaner, even though it was very clean. And he's like, what ones should I get? I don't know where to start. I don't have a lot of nice tools. I'm like, well, let's go. And so I walked them to the other side of the show to the Kiko and had him introduce him to Danny, and Danny did some demos with the K-Power. And it was funny, Danny had to leave to go do a training thing in the middle of the amphitheater thing. And so I was standing there with this guy, like showing him the strap tabs and all these things. And then some other guys came up behind me and they're like, can you show us? And so I ended up having to do another demo for these guys. And both of them bought the K-Power, like after doing it. So I told Danny he owes me royalties on at least 2 K-Powers. If not more, there's probably more guys watching that I'm sure bought. But I'm joking. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not just trying to push my stuff. Like, of course, I want you to buy my stuff. That's why I make it. But like, I'm about moving the industry forward collectively, because I'm not going anywhere. 27 years in the industry. I'm not changing now. I'm only gonna lean into this more. And so, that's my little soapbox there about the tools. Just support the guys who are supporting the industry and who are, developing, and who are supporting you guys. Yeah.
Still wrangling spreadsheets and scribbling estimates by hand? Say no more. Mobile Tech RX gives you everything in one slick app. Estimates, job tracking, QuickBooks integration, and more. It's built to help recon pros work smarter, ditch the admin grind, and get paid faster. Start your 5-day free trial at mobiletechrx.com. Okay, we had a question from a listener that I felt like would be good to go over. It's probably something that we've gone over before, but I think it's good just to reevaluate. Okay, this is what he says. Was curious if you have any tips for getting into dealership accounts, not small car lots, franchise dealerships. I go at it every week, but not much luck. And I asked him, I said, okay, hey, we'll talk about this on the podcast. What are you doing now? And this is what he said. I'm dressed nice in a company collared shirt, lettered truck, make sure my appearance looks professional. If it's a dealership I haven't walked in before, I will call ahead and get the used car manager's name. If I've been there, I write their name down for when I've stopped by again another time, and I introduce myself, explain what I do. I explain that my schedule is flexible. I can come in on Saturdays if need be. My pricing is good. I haven't seen pricing any lower than mine. They always have a guy that they're happy with, or if I walk the lot and bring a list of cars with dents to their attention, they say they will call their dent guy and take care of it. I try to make conversation and get their interest as well. So, boom, Matt, what advice do you have for this technician?
So I kind of have I think I have an interesting perspective on it.
Okay.
Is that we're artists. We're not just a company. We are a company, but we're individual artists. And what we do every day, we have to think about from an artistic standpoint. And so I would say be who you are. Like, find out who you are as a person, as a company, whatever, and what you want to be and what you represent. And don't compromise that. Be true to yourself. Like, first thing I would do is I'd lose that collared shirt. I'm not saying that you can't, like, that's just me because that's not the company that I am. But, like, that would be me not being myself if I walked in there with that collared shirt. Right?
Right. That might be him, though.
That might be him. And I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. Be who you are. And if that's who you are, then that's cool. Be true to that. I think we can be appreciated.
You wouldn't feel comfortable in a collared shirt.
No.
Sometimes I wear a collared shirt, bro.
Again, I'm not. if
You're just saying that's you.
If that's who you are,
you need to represent yourself for who you are.
Who you are.
Yes.
So like we had a technician here. He's no longer with us anymore. But heavily tattooed guy, neck tattoos, hand tattoos, face tattoos. He's like, what's the deal? I'm like, listen, man, I'll support you all day with that stuff. You're an artist. People are going to see that when they see you. They're going to see that when you do their dents. I'm not worried about you being heavily tattooed. I kind of think that's cool as far as like you be you and you lean into that. I need you to be professional. I need you not just like a homeless person. I need you to like have good hygiene and like, I don't care if you got a beard or you're scruffy, but make it look decent. Don't look like a homeless person. Don't stink. Look professional. Look like you gave a crap this morning when you got out of bed and you probably looked in the mirror. But like, be who you are. And I think that will speak more than you trying to be something you're not, which is just to fit in with these yuppies at a car dealership who are going to see right through that. So be true to yourself first, right? And don't be scared walking in there being who you are. The second thing is find value in who you are. Like if you're just coming in and you're the cheapest price and you're just essentially being a dent whore and you're just whoring yourself and you're trying to like just give it away and you don't have any value in your skill set or in your time or what you're doing, then they're going to take advantage of that and they're not going to value that. So be true to who you are and value who you are and what you bring and your skill set, because people are going to see through that, right? And what did I just say on the other side of that, like those two things, is confidence. Because if you can bring both of those two things, then you're displaying confidence, right? You're not scared of who you are and you're not scared of what you're worth. And you're going to walk in that dealership and you're going to be oozing confidence, and that will communicate a lot more than just some guy who's trying to be something he's not and not valuable, right? So confidence is one, right? So I think that's like the underlying like thing. I mean, there's lots of little techniques you can do, like aside from like, let's just say you've got that covered. There's little techniques you could do, like, and man, I can't. Some work, some don't. I mean, that's just a roll of the dice for some of these things. And like I walked a lot one time. Didn't even go see any managers. Just walked a lot, found a big dent. Walked up to the manager's office. I had like a 20. I handed him the 20. I said, dude, I'll give you $20 to let me fix that dent out front. I said, I guarantee I'll do it in less than 10 minutes. He's like, what? I said, I'll pay you $20 to let me fix that dent. I'll have it done in less than 10 minutes. He's like, okay, like, sure. And so I gave him the money, gave me the keys. I went and fixed the dent, had it done in less than 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I didn't get the dealership. Like, I didn't. Like, they continued to use their guy. So, like, but, I mean, you can get creative with how, with getting into the dealership, and there's lots of little angles. Maybe become friends with the detail guys, and your cold call on. I've been kicked out of as many dealerships as I've been asked. I think some of it has to do with being in the right place at the right time and seeing the right person.
Yes.
The right opportunities there. Maybe their guy didn't show up, or maybe they got a sold unit, or I mean, there's lots of little scenarios. So I think some of it is skill, some of it's technique, and some of it's just it is what it is. But so there's things you can't control, right? There's uncontrollables, but control the things you can control, which is the things we just discussed, right? Some of those things. So what are some of your
what I would say?
How would you add to that?
So the one thing that stood out to me about what you said, especially about the giving the guy 20, is being different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a marketing principle of, you think, how can I be better Or am I better or worse? And really what the question is are you different? And are you memorable? Right? So a lot of these things, that he's doing are not very memorable, right? Like what is going to stick out in the manager's mind? What is going to make them remember your name whenever you're gone, right?
Sure.
And that, I bet I've never heard of that. That's really good. And I bet that guy will remember that. I bet he'll tell that story to other people.
Sure.
I
would hope he would.
And I bet maybe if you ran into that guy, he might remember you. Like, dude, you remember when you gave me that $20 bill?
Yeah.
paid me to let me fix that dent?
I remember Will told me, this was years ago. He went to the Lighthouse Toyota dealership down here when it was Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get in.
Yep.
And he walked in playing his guitar.
I remember this.
He took his guitar
Yes.
and walked in playing his guitar,
Yes.
walked into the sales tower
Yes.
playing his guitar. That's different and memorable.
That's different.
I don't know that got on the account. I doubt
You
it.
couldn't pull that off.
I could not pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be yourself.
That's it.
And I will say,
Yes.
if you know Will, that is 100% him
Yes.
being true to himself.
Right.
that was the most Will thing he could do.
He could pull it off.
You can pull it off.
And I think that a lesson also is if every time you go in that dealership and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to land this dealership today, and you're going to go in there, probably not getting that dealership that day, and you're just going to be, boom, failure. I failed again. Dang it. But if you have the mindset of, okay, I'm probably not getting this dealership anytime soon, right? But I'm just going to put this dealership basically on my route that I'm going to go here. And I'm going to keep coming, and keep showing up until they give me work. That's one thing I would do, because then every time you show up, you're building consistency. You're trying to sell to people that are professional salesmen that are in the trenches of sales all day, every day, right? Like, is there anybody harder to sell to than a used car manager? But they think about what they value, right? They value persistence. They don't value someone coming up and being like, hey, I want to sell you this. Will you buy it? They're like, right? Like their sales experience for them to make a sale is very hard, right? So they're not going to let you get by easy. They're just going to buy from you the first time you show up. They want you to work for it, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to earn their respect over time. But if you do something different, think you're good, that's very good. Be yourself and be different somehow, right? And keep showing up until, you get that, what Mike Caudell used to call the Superman effect, where you walk in at the right time and you end up getting the dealership. That happened to me at a dealership that I have now. They had a brand new Jeep, and they are installing step bars on the side of the Jeep, matte black metal tubes, and it came with a dent in the side of one. And I go in this dealership. I've already been in there several times, and the guy's like, the GM, who I've actually knew from back in the day, he's like, nah, man, we're good. We got a guy right now. The used car manager stands up and interrupts him and is like, oh, I got something right now. And the GM just, okay. He took me out to the shop where the mechanics are installing that thing and is like, I have a dent right there in this thing. And I'm like, no way I'm fixing that thing. I've never fixed one of those before. It's matte black. I'm not going to, but I said, okay, I'll try. I don't know if I can fix it, but I'll definitely try. And ended up getting it good enough to where they all thought it was great. And they gave me work every week now. But just right place at the right time, like you were saying, until something like that happens.
Some nuts you're not going to crack, man.
Yeah.
Like some of these relationships go far beyond just being in the right place at the right time. Like there's a dealership here that the guy who trained me services him, and I won't say his name because it's not about him, but like the guy who trained me does this dealership back in 1998. So this is an old school dude.
Yeah.
The dude does not glue pull. He only drills holes. And if the dent is hard to get to, he doesn't fix it. So they call me a lot, right? They call me for hail cars. This is a high-end dealership. They call me for hail cars. They call me for big dents that he cannot fix. And at first, I was like, oh, I'm going to get this dealership, right? Because like I wasn't soliciting it. They called me. And this guy's not meeting their needs. I'm like, okay, well, this is fair.
He doesn't fix dents and body lines either, right?
He doesn't fix dents and body lines. So I'm like, okay, man, like I'm about to take this dealership from you. And I was like, I got this. This is easy. I've already done hail cars, I've done the big dents, do the body lines. I don't drill holes. High-end dealership. Like this is the easiest dealership ever to take.
Yeah.
I can't get in it. The guy has
the relationship,
naked pictures of the GM or something. Like I don't know what he's got, but he's like,
yeah.
And they said, listen, man, like we know what you do. We know it, but it's not happening until this guy dies or retires. He's the dent guy here. And I said, listen, okay, that's fine. Keep calling me, but I got to charge you close to retail on this stuff. Like I want to be your dent guy and I want to give you better prices.
Yeah.
But this has to come with a reciprocating relationship. And right now it's one way. So you can't expect me to jump when you say jump and give you this great price for this dent when I'm not getting the return on the investment. So like I still do the big dents. I still do the hail when they call me, but it's at an expensive price and they don't like it. They're like, man, that's freaking a lot. I'm like, okay, well get to do it.
I'll cut that out.
Get so-and-so to do it. They're like, he can't do it. I'm like, so anyhow, it's one of those situations where like, it doesn't matter how you're going to perform or what you do. There's just some politics in there that you're not going to overcome. And also you should appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because if you're the dent guy who's in there and you're meeting all those needs and checking all those boxes, you don't want just some random dude walking in and taking the dealership and you not getting the equity of that relationship. So you should appreciate the loyalty of it. Now me looking in that, it's like, dude, when I get that dealership, they're going to love me and like they're going to be so loyal to me potentially. Right? You're just not be able to crack some nuts. I mean, it's just what it is. On the other hand, the longer I've been doing this, the looser I've held these dealerships in my hand. Yeah. Because they're just a revolving door between the man, like your best dealership with your best manager a year from now could be a whole different dealership with a whole different manager. And this might be a guy you've known for 20 years. And he might just retire and they bring a new guy in here and they bring their team with them and you're gone, or another group buys them out and they bring in their vendors from the other area where they were and you're gone. That happens all the time. And so these relationships that you think you have with these managers, just know it's a probably a business relationship. And when business changes like the wind, so will you. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of guys who have outside relationships with managers, and those are good. But like, at the end of the day, this is a business for them and for us. This isn't a charity. Nobody's giving away everything. I mean, you got to give away some free dents. I'm giving away a lot of those. Sure. But like, you're running a business, and so are they, and you got to think of it that way. And
you've paid to fix dents.
I've paid to fix dents. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would say one other thing is I wouldn't be so worried about price. I wouldn't try to be the cheapest guy, right? Like if you're trying to stand on being the cheapest guy, you're showing them that you don't value yourself as much as the other guy. You should be able to walk into a place and charge a fair price. And if you're the cheapest, you probably should raise your prices because you want to communicate some kind of value, unless you think you're not as good as the other guy. But if the other guy is leaving dents on the lot that should be fixed, he's not doing a great job, and you're cheaper than him, what are you communicating? So if you want to communicate that you're better than that other person, I think your price should probably reflect that. You should be consistent with your whatever you're selling.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be competitive in your market. That's just like, if you want to do it, you got to be competitive in your market. But that doesn't mean you want to be on the low end of that market.
Right.
Right? Because I can give you numbers of lots of guys who would do dents cheaper than me. And that's fine. I mean, but I know what I'm going to bring to it, and I know what I need to do this dent to this level. And you know your worth, right? Also, I mean, and I'm just going to say this, like, the better I get, the faster I can do it. And so maybe I become efficient. And so maybe that gives me an edge, where I can do something a little bit cheaper because I can do it faster. It's not going to take me all day. I can do this thing in an hour, whereas opposed to going to take somebody half a day or a whole day to do this thing. So I might be able to do something a little bit more. But again, you want to be careful that you don't get penalized for that skill set. So it's a fine line that you have to do what's right for you and your business and your market. And if you live in some rural country town where most of the cars are pickup trucks, and you're going to have a harder time asking a premium price as opposed to like a bougie side of town or a high-end side of town where there's Teslas and Rivians, where you can actually demand a price where there's actually more disposable income, as opposed to the rural where there's maybe not. If people are having to choose between groceries and PDR, they're going to choose groceries every time. But if they don't have to make that choice and they're in a wealthier part of town where they don't have to choose groceries and PDR, they've got extra money they can throw disposable income, then that becomes less of a factor. I mean, I don't agree with the pricing standard that goes across the country, like blanket. Like, I think there needs to be some level of that, but like, you can't ignore geography. Like it. We went to a rodeo in Fort Worth. A beer is $8. Okay, so the same beer in a different place is $8 than it is, or you go to a football game, it's $9, $12 for a beer, as opposed to I can walk in Publix and get a 12-pack much cheaper than that. And it's because of availability and your geographical location. And so, look at a house. I can get a much nicer house in rural America than I can anywhere on the coast. Just pick it, wherever it is, doesn't matter. Or a high, dense, populated area. So I think that you can't ignore that geography plays a factor in pricing.
Yeah. Or like, because there's going to be rich people everywhere, but some places are going to have a lot more people with money than other places. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
And so you have to consider that.
Sure.
Again, I'm not telling you what to do specifically. That's up to you, and there's lots of guidance and education on that stuff, and I'm not trying to be that guy. But do your homework, do your diligence of your area, see what other companies are doing, and you have to compete on some level. And the less time you've been doing it, the harder that game is going to be. And the better you get at this trade or this skill, this craft, the less the competition, So like, let's just say in my market right now in Jacksonville, Florida, let's just say that there's 30 technicians. Let's just say there's between 30 and 50 technicians in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. The amount of technicians who can fix this dent, the small nickel-sized dent, let's just say it's 50 out of 50. Or, I mean, I would think, right? That's the baseline is I can fix this nickel-sized dent. 50 out of 50 technicians can fix it. So if I want to fix that dent and I'm 3 times what they want to fix it, I'm probably not going to get it. Like, meaning like the amount of technicians who can fix that dent to that high level is a lot more, and so I'm less valuable, right? Unless there's other reasons you want to come to me. If we're straight looking at the transaction of the dent, forget other factors. If we're just looking at the dent,
marketing, brand.
Okay, just put that aside.
Right.
If we're just looking at who can do the dent,
right?
Like there's many, all 50 should be able to do this dent, hopefully, to a high level. We're just going to say that is the case.
Got it.
We know it's not, but let's just say it is. Okay, so now as the dents get bigger and more complicated, that number will fall off. There will be less and less people who can do a bigger, more complicated dent on a high level. And there's going to be a lot less people who want to do that dent on a high level. We know majority of technicians want to do the easy, low-hanging fruit. Not a lot of guys want to do the big, complicated stuff. I mean, there is money to be made on that, but it's a lot more lucrative to run around and do the $150 dents all day and go home and make a good living. Like, so what I'm getting at is the bigger the dents and the more complicated, the more valuable I become, because the less technicians in my market can do it to the same quality or high level. So when I see these big complicated dents, I know, okay, my competition just dropped dramatically. Like there's maybe 3 companies in this town who can do that dent to the same quality potentially that I can. So I need to put a little bit more on this one, right? Mm-hmm. But if I want those other ones, then I kind of have to be competitive if I want them. Because unless I am winning at other things like marketing or branding and lots of things you can do, but those all take time to do, your competition is going to be a lot more thicker, right?
Yeah.
So
one more thing I'd say about that, just about getting into dealerships, is try to make friends. You said making friends with detailers and stuff, but yeah, like try to make friends with everybody there. You know, like every time you go there, try to make a friend, because even if that dealership you never get there, you know, you might make a friend there that ends up at the other dealership and you get in there. So don't try to land the account every time you go in there. Just try to make one new friend every time you go in there, and just play the long game.
I want to have as many attachments or hooks, let's just say, into that dealership as possible. So let's just say you go in, you do the free dent. The guy, I pay the $20 and I went over the used car manager and I fixed the dent in 10 minutes and he loves me to death. And he says, start fixing my dents. And I'm working at that dealership for 3, 4, 5 years and everything's great. He's my only contact in that thing. And then he leaves or retires or gets fired or whatever. And now I've got no other relationships in that dealership. Then it's as good as anybody's to come get it from me. But what if I'm putting hooks in that dealership, you know, with the finance manager, with the salesman, with the detailers, you know, everybody that I can, the GM. And now when that guy leaves, you know, I have other relationships that keep me maintained in that thing besides just the one attachment. So and I don't say that to do that fake. I mean, try to do that genuinely, right? Just be open and be vulnerable and try to be a nice guy and build relationships that extend beyond just that one contact point, because you don't want to just rely on that one to keep you there for the long haul, because he will go somewhere. Like he will leave, and then you're going to have to find another connection point there. So go ahead and start building those now.
It's good.
Yeah.
We're about 2.5 in. Anything else you specifically want to talk about?
You want to talk about that? You had it here in the notes. You want to talk about the gypsy repair?
If you want to.
Or the one just below that one.
Whatever you feel more strongly about. I'm ready to pull the plug on this thing whenever you are.
Okay. So we had I was at the airport waiting at the cell phone lot for my wife to get off the plane. She went to Chicago to visit her parents, and I was picking her up. And so we're sitting at the cell phone waiting lot, and I look out the window to my left, and there's a Prius, silver Prius, new body style Prius sitting there. And somebody butchered this fender. Somebody who wants to call himself a PDR technician. He wasn't a PDR technician, but someone who's soliciting himself as a PDR technician got a hold of this fender and just ruined this thing. And so I've seen these guys. I've seen them in action at malls here. I've seen them do it. I've been sitting in my car that says all out Paintless dent removal all over it, and seeing the guy pull up in front of me working on the car, like doing this. It was
Gypsies.
And so I knew what it was, but I said, I was trying to be very gracious because I don't want to be the gypsy myself, and I'm a tattooed, kind of weird looking dude. And so this is an older lady, and so I was trying to approach her very graciously, right? And so I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I said, "I'm looking at your car here. Can you tell me what happened to the fender? Like it looks like someone did a really bad job on it." She's like, "Oh my gosh, let me tell you. This guy came up to me in a parking lot and he told me he could fix it. And, he worked on it, and then you rub the stuff on it, looks like wax that they put on it, let it dry and tell you not to touch it for 24 hours, which is after you've already gotten home, and you remove the wax and you see this horrible job that they attempted." And she said that he was very nice, and he's like, "I stand behind my work and I guarantee everything. And if you have a problem, you don't like it, you call me and I'll make it right." And so she said, I paid him $400 to fix my fender, and it was the biggest regret I've done. Like, it was a horrible decision to let him do it, and it looks like crap. And I called him, and then he ghosted me, and he won't return my call. And I said, "Okay, well, I understand you were taken advantage of. Like, that's horrible." I said, "But that's what I do. Is I do paintless dent removal, and I'm sorry you got taken advantage of. And I would really like to try to give you a positive experience with paintless dent removal. I see you got a negative one." I said, "So I'll give you my card, and I'll walk away, and I want you to look me up on my socials and my Google, and I want you to come find me. I know you just had approached by some guy in a parking lot, and so I'm trying to be very careful not to approach you in a parking lot."
Which is what you did.
"Here's my card. You look me up and you call me when you're ready, and I want to fix your dent for you." I said, "Of no charge. I know you've already been charged. I want to fix this dent for you to try to give you a positive experience with paintless dent removal, because that's a bad depiction of the industry that I'm in." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, okay, thanks." And then we instantly got texts, and we all had to leave to go pick up our families. And so I was like, "Man, I wonder if she's going to call me, and all that, whatever." And but I really want to fix this dent. Like, I really wanted to see what I could do with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she calls me. She's like, "Hey, I want to take you up on that. I want to get it done." I said, "Okay, well, just to be clear, there's no money exchange. So I want to cover that up front. Like, there's no expectation of money. I'm not asking. I just want to fix it for you. So let's do it." And so I said, "I need you to drop it off at my shop and give it to me for the day so that I can work on it. and you can pick it up towards the end of the day. And again, no money exchange. It's all free. Oh, that's great. That's perfect. We set up this day. I said, all right, drop it off at 9. You can pick it up by 5. Unless I'm done earlier, I'll call you, blah, blah, blah. And so she calls me that morning and she's like, hey, I can't find a ride to pick me up. So I will be there, but I'm running a little bit late. So it was like, she's supposed to be there at 9. She didn't show up till like 10:30 or 11. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so when she gets here, she's like, oh, by the way, I can't wait on it. And I have to leave by like 2.
You mean she's gonna wait on it?
No, yes, she
can't leave
She
it.
can't leave it. She had to wait on it. Sorry.
Yeah.
And she's like, you only have 2 hours. So I gotta get home. She's like, I got an elderly mom that I take care of, and I gotta go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was so amped to work on this car and spend all day and just take it from like this horrible before and this beautiful after. Like I had it all like in my head, like I'm gonna make this thing look freaking perfect and flawless and put on my Instagram. It's gonna be great. But all that changed. She was late, and then I had 2 hours, and so I'm kind of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, like, and so I bring it in, and I'm literally the clock is ticking, like I'm watching the seconds, and I'm just trying to be fast, and so anyhow, I get done right at the 2 hour mark, and I'm like, ma'am, you want to come look at it, see where we're at? She's like, yeah, let's go out in there, and I take her to shop. Oh, it looks perfect. I'm like, well, it doesn't look perfect. It looks a lot better, but I've got a long way to go. Like, I'm not done. I said, is there any way I can get some more time with it? Like another half hour, I'll take whatever. And she's like, I can't. I have to leave right now. My mom's texting me. I got to get back. And I'm like, another 15 minutes, anything? She's like, no, I've got to leave right now. And so it was like pulling a dog off a meat, right? Like all I wanted to do was fix this thing, and I wanted to have all the right time to do it, and I thought I did, but circumstances changed, so I made it look really good for what it was. Granted, this guy already butchered it, and it was a bad repair, which is always hard reversing a bad repair. So if you're listening and you've never had a repair, do your work, and because going over it a second time, from a bad technician to a good technician is not going to be the best result. But I did what I could given the parameters, which was the times, standpoint that we had, and the fact that somebody already butchered it. And I think I made it look really good. I posted it, and it was hard to post because it's not the best after, right? Because like people are going to see the pictures and not going to really read the context there of what it is. So it was a little hard to do, but I did it, and man, I got so many interactions. I've had that was one of the biggest interactions that I've had on a post, as opposed to just a flawless repair that I might do. Mm-hmm. Like obviously the Rivian one is the most,
yeah.
But like that one's up there. I had lots of people commenting, and because I posted a little story about it, and so why are we telling that? A couple of reasons. Like just try to do the right thing. I mean, I know that might be in the cards, or maybe it's not in the cards for everybody to be able to do those kind of things. And you don't want to go around just fixing everybody's bad repairs for free. I'm not saying that, but like, you're never going to be penalized for doing the right thing. Right. I mean, so in my situation, that was the right thing for me to try to do for our industry. And also, like we need to do a good job of distinguishing ourselves from between those guys, right? There's lots of guys who would love to take your money and to like dirty our industry. And it's kind of I feel like it's my duty to try to show the difference between like I think the industry kind of started there, right? Like in a parking lot doing dents and, with basic stuff. And I'm not against that. You can do a lot with some basic stuff. I'm not, of course, I would applaud that. But like, you really need to do your homework as far as picking someone who's investing in themselves. And that doesn't mean a shop, you're mobile, but you've invested in yourself in tools and your wrap and your business, and you're clearly, you can see your presence online. And man, if you know, invest in yourself as a technician. You know, I understand you might need to start there with basic tools and no presence, and you can do some really good work, but you need to progress yourself as fast as possible, not just in your skill set, but in that presence, or that representation of your business or your brand. Like, invest in yourself, and in your tools, or in your online presence is a huge one. You know, I love Instagram because, like, I come from tattoos, which are a highly visual thing. Like, if I want to choose a tattoo artist, I want to see the work you did. I don't want to just let anybody tattoo me forever. It's there. So it's like, do you have any examples of work you did? So I want to look at someone's Instagram or their portfolio and see, okay, if you did this on this person, I can assume it'll look like this on me. And so I think Instagram is the best thing we have for a portfolio of before and afters, right? And so build a portfolio that is yours. This isn't stock photos off of someone building your website for you, which is out there. This is actual photos of you and your repairs that you've done that represent you. Have some integrity when it comes to that. Even if it's I don't want to say crappy, but like not where you want it to be. That's better than taking a false one and putting it up there. Like, and you can actually kind of document your progression in the industry. Like don't be scared to put out there your repairs as you're progressing through the industry.
Right. I mean, document that progression.
And you can even show, like, hey, this is where I was when I started 5 years ago. Look what I'm doing now. Like, be transparent with people.
Right.
And I think it's bad that we as technicians, like, bully other guys. Like, why would you post that? Like, that's not really fair. Like, that's just a guy being transparent with who he is and his skill set and where he's at. Like, I posted a video of me shooting the other day, doing a mag change, and it was a horrible time. I'm not a professional shooter. That's my progression of where I'm at with my skill set. Like, and like, there's lots of guys who, of course, can do it way faster than me, but I'm not that guy. It's just being who I am with what I got, right? And my progression of my craft. So don't be scared to be true to who you are and post that stuff. Like, and we need to applaud people doing that and not just beat them up and bully them because you could do it better. So
yeah,
that's my take on the Gypsy Dent.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So I know we usually do a tool at the end, but I just wanted to DB Expo. We only took a little sample of our tools, but the 3 top sellers that I can remember were Slegos. They were gone. Bodyline Slayer was gone.
With the nylon tip.
And the Mighty Mouse was gone. I know that there were some others that were sold out fast, but I think maybe the Slegos sold out the fastest, and then the Bodyline Slayer, and then the Mighty Mouse. I think those were the top 3 sellers. So if you don't have those, get them.
Yeah, and it was interesting seeing like top sellers in Italy versus top sellers in the U.S.
Yes.
I mean, it's just different geography, right? As far as what people can spend on tools or what they want to spend on tools or people's culture or mindset or whatever. There's lots of things that feed into that, but it was kind of a head scratcher seeing, I didn't sell any of these, but I sold all these at MTE. Like you're trying to figure that out, and it's hard to figure out. But I do know that like in some of those countries, they maybe not. Hale always is consistently top tier money, right? Whatever economy you're in, usually Hale pays the most. But like wholesale and or even retail, some cultures or economies, they can't get what we can get. right?
Right.
Like, and so the value just doesn't hold the PDR sustain it. Like, so they can't always get the money we can get, and so maybe they can afford the tools, or I don't know. So it's interesting to try to understand that and to look into that and try to map that, but it's hard. But yeah, the Bodyline Slayer across both of the trade shows and the Mighty Mouse, those two have done really well at both shows. Like, we usually sell out of those pretty quick, and so if you don't have those, get them.
Boom.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we're just glad you guys hung out and endured this one without a guest. We felt like it was time to do one of these.
Yeah.
I think we did the first two this way, and then
Yeah. Well, we just kind of hit on some topics. There's still a lot of stuff that we didn't get through, and we're almost at 3 hours.
Yeah.
We got to cut it off somewhere.
Yeah.
There was several things we didn't get to.
yeah, we blazed through a lot of this that we kind of scripted out to hit on, and yeah, thank you guys for support thus far. If you guys are watching the past episodes, we're only gonna keep going forward, full speed ahead, and we've got some really cool people that we want to get on here this year, or the next 10, per se. And so, if you are interested in coming on here, as far as or someone who might be a good guest on here, message us. And if you're interested in potentially sponsoring at some point, maybe message us too, and see what we can do if it makes sense for both of us. So
Yeah, and if you have any questions that you'd like to hear us answer, reach out. We might answer yours on the podcast.
yeah, definitely. So thank you for the support thus far. If you want to get in contact with me, you can find me. Well, they can all go to thedentslayerpodcast.com, and they can get a hold of us both there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just go to thedentslayerpodcast.com and be on the lookout for that. We're going to be tweaking that and adding some new things to that soon. And we'll obviously put that on our socials when that happens. But yeah, we're only advancing forward. So be on the lookout for what that looks like. But thanks, and we will see you guys soon.
See you next
The
time.
Dent Slayer, Matt Boyette. Thank you so much for being here.
She's smooth.